What's up, Tutorinos, and welcome back to the Game Addicts podcast, episode 150. That's 150. Welcome back to the show. This is the show where we talk about the modern and retro video games that I play and collect, as well as the show where I dive deep into my favorite video games, characters, and lore. Welcome to the show, guys, and wow, 150. You know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time reminiscing about the show. I do that plenty enough here on the show because this is a very special episode. I remember way back in the day, and it might be mentioned a little bit later on, but I remember way back in the day when we first did Journey into Comics, episode 50, we tried to get as many people who had been on the show to that point on the show all at the same time. We were not prepared. We should have been smarter about it and did what I have attempted to do here today. I got some guests, I got some old friends on the show here today, and I have pre-recorded these segments, and that's why this podcast is essentially going to be the tale of two podcasts, because three of the clips that I'm going to show you today, the first three are all shorter. They're about 20 minutes apiece, and they were all done at the beginning of the month. The last two are a lot longer, but I mean, this is just going to be conversation between me and some buddies. I'm going to interject in between to kind of help you, help tell you who they are before we just jump into it. And then, of course, during that, I try to let them know who they are. If you've been listening to the show for any amount of time, you probably know who all of these cats are. But those first three were recorded at the beginning of the month. The last two were recorded just earlier on this week. And a lot of things have changed since then. I mean, quite literally, we are on lockdown, essentially. And I'm not talking about like the Zach Bagans lockdown, as in we shouldn't leave the house. Things have gotten really weird in the last month. And the thing is, though, if you look back on it, you kind of can see it was coming. The only thing is that there were other things in the news taking more precedent. I just saw this today. It's like, hey, Kobe Bryant passed. That tragic accident that happened there with like Colby and his daughter and there's other fine folks. But, that was main page news. Meanwhile, off to the corner, there was, coronavirus news. So, I mean, and that word is blacklisted. You can't say that word on the YouTubes. I won't make any money. I don't anyways. I got a full-time job. This thing is my hobby. Welcome each and every one of you to Game Addicts episode 150. Up first for my guests. Up first, for the very first guest at 150. He is a good friend of mine. I pretty much work with this cat when we go back to work. When's that going to be? But I do work with this guy. I helped name his show. I've been on his show a zillion times. Not really, but quite a bit throughout the tenure. I was on episode 1. I might have been on episode 2 of that show, which was a prequel to another show that got created for It's Podcastrophe. It's the host, Dick Blaine Tyner, and we are going to send this over that way right now. Hey guys, I am sitting here with the one and only Dr. Dongo.
What's up?
What's up, Blaine? The Dongus Maximus.
That's a first.
Yeah. Came up with that earlier today.
Not heard that one.
Not
heard that one.
That might not get a pass.
Nick's going to love that one.
Well, it may not get a pass because it may be putting you over a little too much. But be that as it may. Today, of course, I'm doing this cool little thing where I'm trying to bring on some people who have been affiliated with the show for episode 150.
Wow.
And I know, man. I know.
150. It just seems like yesterday we were recording 142 over at Tyler's house, It just time flies. It's just so crazy. I mean, 150.
Yeah,
Wow.
150. I mean, it's a landmark episode. It truly is, though. I mean, how many podcasts don't make it past 10? And that's the thing I've always said. It's about staying with it. It's about keep doing what you like doing, and hopefully get some better. Get better at it. I tried to at least think that I've gotten better since my very first podcast I've ever done, but. No, man, this has been awesome, and it's great to have you on just to chit chat for a bit and, and talk about what you're doing, because that's what I really want to do with, like, instead of looking back too much on myself, I want to look back on all my all my friends and all my cohorts that I've had here on the show. Of course, there's been a tight relationship between Game Addicts Podcast and Podcastrophe. Well, number one, I kind of co-named the show at one point, despite your former
potential co-host co-host that would have been.
Yeah, despite what he says, I did come up with the phrase and name Podcastrophe, so I'll take my royalties when they're coming in.
I saw him today. He's got a goatee right now.
Yeah, I think I saw him last week or something. Good old Nick Torres. Of course, Nick was actually on the prototype episode that kind of was like led into Game Addicts Podcast, the old Surge and Crispy M&M's episode. That
was the very first episode of Journey into Comics I ever listened to.
Me and Nate were doing this thing where we were doing every other week, and we wanted to ramp it up, but we weren't always available, like both of us.
Yeah.
So we started doing those solo casts, right? And that was, that gave me an opportunity to like branch out and talk about games more, since that's really my shtick. And comics and comic related stuff really isn't. Like, I can comment on it, and I stay up with it for the most part. But like games, it wasn't a rarity that we would talk about it, but it wasn't often enough. And Surge and Crispy M&Ms, I knew, having both Mike and Nick on, we were going to talk about games. Or like, I know we talked about a lot about games, but I know we just BS'd about stupid crap. And,
I think you talked about Dragon Age, if I remember right. A Dragon Age Inquisition.
Inquisition had come out. Yeah. And I pretty much spent my entire shutdown playing that game. I just had it on because I don't know about you, but in the era of being distracted, whether, of course, then I don't think I had a kid. Maybe I did. Maybe he was really little, really tiny.
Nope, you had no kid at that time.
No kid? No, okay.
You were like a year away from that, I think.
14. Yeah, okay, yeah. So I was 6 months away from that. However, we have this in our hands. So, So if I'm playing, and if I'm playing a game, it's over here. It's over here on the desk or on the chair next to me. And all it takes for me to get distracted is a little vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, okay, I got an email. What's this? Oh, okay, crap. And then next thing I know, I've been on my phone for 15 minutes. And I've been sitting, and my TV's been on the pause screen. I'm like, I need to get back on playing. Yeah, get distracted. And whether that is now with emails, messages, Slack, or anything else.
Slack's been quiet, and I've been appreciative. It has been
pretty quiet, hasn't it? Good old Slack.
I've been very appreciative of it.
Good old Slack.
Yeah.
I still haven't bought any shares. Maybe I should. I'm just saying. Thinking out loud.
Brando, I got to give you a lot of credit because you're part of my journey into podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Despite Podcastrophe episode 1, myself rediscovering my old ancient podcasts from 2007.
Yeah.
Which were just glorified shout outs. But yeah, I give you and Nate Phillips of Journey into Comics and Journey into Comics Network and all those other glorious shows. I give you guys like all the credit in terms of getting me into podcasting and getting me into actually doing it rather than listening. Without listening to Journey into Comics, Podcastrophe would have probably never happened.
Well, yeah. I mean, you were there on our episode 50. You were in the room.
Yep.
Because you had been on a few shows, I think, at that point. Metalcast and maybe one more. Or was it just Metalcast at that point?
I think it was just Metalcast, then 50, then we did Metalcast 2.
Right after, yeah.
Yeah.
And in the old, in ye old hot game room.
Yeah.
Where tempers flared. That was definitely good. I can't remember what tempers got flared about. It was.
I don't either. I don't remember.
Oh man, I remember it got a little hot during the pre-show where we weren't actually recording it, and Nick got a little hot, and then we started recording, and then we took like a break.
Yeah,
and like
a 3-hour break.
It was something like that.
Where we just like left, got food, and never came back. And we're like, oh yeah,
we got to finish this thing. No, dude, it's been really great. Like being a part of the podcasting world with you and bringing you in, and I'm really glad because it's a different medium. It's a different way to get your voice out there, whether that is your opinion or even some sort of creativity, because I know that, you've done a lot of music. I've done music before in the past as well. And in a really strange way, podcasting scratches that same itch. And I'm not sure if it's, if it's the performer mentality of where, like, the performer mentality is like, hey, look at me, I want to talk or I want to perform for you and I want to like entertain you. So maybe that's part of it. But also, when you're writing music, or at least when I would do it, I would try to put a lot of myself or a lot of my own experiences into it. And
absolutely.
Like with this, I know my Game Addicts is more focused, but I get to share my opinion. I get to gush. I get to talk, and I get to have this medium to get all of that out. And sometimes, and I know you felt the same way when there have been really big, long podcast expeditions, like in the old days. Anytime me and Nate would get together, we're doing 17 podcasts, which would just be one really long one. And man, some of those days just leave me so exhausted and tired. And all we do is sit there and talk. But I absolutely fell in love with it from the moment, I wanted to do it. I looked into it. I'm like, man, it'd be cool. Cause I remember I was a part of some gaming page on Facebook. A guy that I know, his friend started it, and then he brought me in and was like, hey, do you want to be an admin? I said, sure, let me do this. And I thought it'd be cool if we had a podcast to go along with that page. And I didn't even pitch it to them yet. I was like looking into it, what we would need. Cause I know for a fact that they may not be able to afford the means. It was a little bit different time back in 2013. When I was looking into it, and I was like, well, okay, all I need is a microphone and whatnot. But I shelved it. And then Nate started podcasting with Journey into Comics, and he was talking about comics. That's all he was talking about. Oh, it's the movies and such.
From wrestling,
a little bit of wrestling. And then I was the first guest. And then he pretty much said after the first 2 episodes, because we did 2, like we did such a long one that we split it. He goes, do you want to stay on? I went, dude, I had a blast. Yes. Cause honestly, at that point, I just wanted to learn. I just wanted to learn because I knew I wanted to do my own game show, like gaming show at some point. Whether or not I was going to do that, it actually took another almost 2 years to actually see that through. To where we started in April 16, and of course we started on the JIC YouTube channel as just an exclusive thing over there. So and then going back into the retrospect, bringing you in, you ended up doing some of those segments.
Yeah, those segments were so much fun. I mean, coming up with the intro, I had a different intro for every segment and a different topic where I would either just talk about whatever, or I'd ask you guys a question and then answer my own question as well. But that was so much fun. And some of those intros, I wish I need to find them on my computer because like they're hilarious. Like the one where I'm just eating chips and just moaning. With like I think I played bass on the for the backing track. I just played bass and some good times. And the Slayer one, I think the Slayer one's probably my favorite, where I just did like a cappella the Raining Blood riff. But for the chugs, I actually got like in my guitar and I chugged and I got bass and like all that. The chugs were real, but the rest was just my fucking stupid ass voice a cappella.
It's funny. So recently, you get lost in the YouTube zeitgeist of just random stuff.
Oh yeah,
and people have been doing Rocksmith videos, of course, right? And this dude did an electric mod on his ukulele to see if it would work on Rocksmith, and of course, it does. And he was playing all this kind of weird stuff, and then he realized it was picking up his voice, so he just held he held the ukulele up to his mouth and did like he mimicked the guitar, and he was hitting notes with it. It was hilarious.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh man,
that's really amazing.
That's. I remember there was a Metallica thing. I don't remember. Oh. I'm not sure if it was what making it was, or if it was on Hardwired or even Death. I can't remember. One of the two, where James is like riffing along, and at the very end, he went ha, and then his pickup picked up his ha, because they were
fucking actives.
Well, yeah, because he was lined right into the computer. You know, they didn't have a cab or a mic set up. He just lined right into like overdubs and stuff or whatever. Mm-hmm. They said they were going to keep it in, but they did not. Unless I just haven't heard it. It would be really cool to go back to that one and try to crank the volume to see if it's there. Just minute. But no, man, it's been an awesome. It's been an awesome podcasting ride with you. You play some games, mostly Monster Hunter.
I play a few.
Mostly Monster Hunter.
Pretty much exclusively Monster Hunter at this point. I don't know any other games to play. I mean, it's just I keep going back to it. I mean, until a game that I'm either already into the series or something that the story drags me into it. Like again, I was already into God of War from the early days, so that game of the year, and rightfully so. Horizon Zero Dawn was amazing. That was another game, one of the few games I've completed in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not a completionist.
I mean, you've been on the show here a few times. You and Tyler have filled in. You've done some segments. Yeah. You did a whole episode about God of War. During the dark times before the Empire.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like episode 78 or whatever, and I almost killed the show. I almost killed the show on 79.
Wow.
There was some stuff going on. Yeah, 78. There's some stuff going on. The show lived on and it's still going, but
it feels like just yesterday we were recording episode 78. Like
what he's doing, guys, is like
yes.
What he's doing is that there was a point where me and Nate on Journey to Comics, once we hit like episode 132 or whatever, we were just like, man, wow, I can't believe we're doing this episode. And like, you got to remember
every episode.
It was a joke that just kept going. Like we didn't.
Well, for a few episodes, I didn't really think it was a joke. I was like, holy shit, are they really reminiscing again? Like they've done this 3 weeks in a row now. Like, what is going on here?
It didn't start off that way until we kind of realized that we'd done it. So then we just kept doing it just to see how many times we could do it.
Yeah.
But no, like, it's been such a blast having you around. And the last time that you were on, of course, as you said, was when we did the almost decade retrospective as far as like some of the best games and our favorite games.
Oh yeah, and that was fun.
You went through and you like I completed this one. See, it was Guitar Hero.
I did it.
But no, it's been a blast having you on, man, and it's always a blast.
Oh, it's been a blast doing it.
And have you heard? Because we are pre-recording this, just so everybody knows. I'm not sure everybody does know, but the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo is on PlayStation Network. For free. That was a great vacation present yesterday.
I saw that it was up. I didn't know if that was like a pre-order the game and you can get the demo. So it's full on. You can just do it.
Oh yeah, 7 gigs. And I woke up yesterday morning at 6 because like I'm in my 30s and I work a day shift job. So my body's like, you need to get up, man. And I'm like, oh no, I want to sleep in. It's like, no, dude, your back's hurt.
Like, you're ready.
No,
you're ready.
Your lower back is starting to hurt now, and the longer you stay in bed, the more it will hurt. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll get up. And I got up, checked my phone, and I had an email from Square. I'm like, oh, download. Here I am, 6 o'clock in the morning, being like, all right, because I've actually already watched the demo before because it leaked out via development consoles, but now it is out 100% for the people to try it out and see what to think of it. I have actually done.
I did watch some gameplay.
I've done one playthrough on the regular setting, and I want to go through with the classic setting just to see the difference. It is more action based. It's kind of Kingdom Heartsy, but it's more involved. It's like they took Kingdom Hearts and FF15 and kind of fused them together a little bit. And
I see.
While bringing like the whole item select from it's almost like VATS. Like when you actually go into the area, like it slows down the combat, and you have time. You have like, all right, I need to use a potion, and then but that takes ATB, and the more that you attack, like it'll go up. But if you land attacks, it'll go up quicker. You need to get 2 bars of ATB, and that's almost like what they did with FF13, where each action, whether it's a special move, magic, or item, takes up 1 of those. So if you have none of those, you can't do anything, even heal yourself. So you need to be like playing it smart. So,
yeah. Okay.
I really dug it, man. It's completely different, and it is involved as far as like.
It sounds like it. I mean, in order to heal, you actually have to participate. You can't just like, oh shit, I'm on the ropes right now and running around healing until you're ready to fight again. Like a lot of games.
Yeah, no,
that's usually my strategy.
Like the regular, like attack, dodge, and block. Those don't take up ATB, but to do anything else does. And so it's a little bit different. It takes a minute to get used to that because you just want to go in there and do everything. But it's like, nah, dude. But you gain it fast enough that it doesn't really feel like it detracts,
Yeah, I watched some gameplay from Eric's Gaming. I don't know if you're familiar with that YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I watched that channel for like all my Monster Hunter news. Very avid British Monster Hunter player. And so he's been posting a lot of the Final Fantasy VII Remake videos. I watched a couple boss fights. Yeah, looks neato.
It's really different, and the gameplay so far on the PlayStation Store. This as of today, it had 5,000 reviews, and it was sitting at a 5-star review just for the demo.
Wow.
What I'm looking forward to the most, it's like, yeah, the gameplay is gonna be fun, but I want to see what they add to this story to make it 30 hours. So.
Yeah, right.
And I'm only going to have 3 days to do it. Unlike my vacation, which I'm on now, I would have been playing it now, and like I wouldn't, be talking to anybody. So, So I mean, dude, once again, dude, thank you for coming on here and chit chat with me. It's always,
no problem.
It's always great to have you on. We'll have to have you on back here in the very near future. Got some cool episode ideas, and I'll shoot some of those by you. And if any one of those interests you, maybe we'll try and squeeze you on here, man.
Hell yeah, man. And I'll look forward to you being on Podcastrophe episode 150 because you're on every 50 episodes, because why not?
Yeah.
Let's make it a trend,
I mean,
that might be a little further down the road than it would have been now that my show's bi-weekly. But
my show, I said it was going to go bi-weekly, and then I had enough content for like 3 weeks in a row or 2 weeks in a row. So I'm like, variable. I want to be committed to one or the other, but it's like every time that I say one, I'm always like, I got something or I don't have anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, guys, it's going to be there. If not this week, next week, damn it.
Yeah.
It'll be there.
We decided to move to bi-weekly as a way to, one, give us a break in between, like every other week. And in that time when we are taking a break, maybe we can focus on like extra content or backlog to throw up if we can't do a show. Which not being able to do a show is a lot more unlikely now that it's bi-weekly. So that helps a lot, and again, it's R&R, it's backlog recording, it's extra content recording. It's just giving us a little breathing room.
Once I start the OGs back up with Nate officially and get that going, that this show may go bi-weekly, and they'll just alternate which weeks I record what. But I mean, that's a bridge that I'll cross when I get there. So
yeah.
As of right now, as I said, stay tuned. Episodes will be there every week, or at least every other week. Stay tuned.
The day of reckoning will come.
Oh,
stay tuned.
I ate a lot of pizza this weekend. Nice. Oh man, my belly about exploded. But Blaine, Dr. Dongo, thank you once again for coming back on. We'll see you here on in the near future.
Hell yeah, Brando. Thanks for having me.
And I'm back. That was a good friend, Dick Blaine Tyner from Podcastrophe. So cool getting to sit down and chat with him. And of course, I got to do so again with a couple other guys that are going to be on here on this show. As I record this just a few days ago, we did something called the first ever Supercast, where a bunch of hosts from different members of the Journey to Comics Network came together, and we just had an explosion of fun. It was all of us just sitting around trying to get our minds off the BS that's going on right now that is affecting everybody, and trying to give you guys some quality fun entertainment. We covered some of the greatest questions in the history of mankind. Like, what is the best Pop-Tart flavor? Or at least we discussed what our favorites were. Maybe on the next Supercast, we need to actually hunker down. Maybe we need to find the real answer. Also, is it Jif or GIF? And also, we spiderwebbed off a GIF, or at least Tyler did, to tell us the correct order of consumption of peanut butter. What is on top? What is trash? All that and more on the first ever Supercast. You can find that over on the Journey to Comics podcast Facebook page, as well as next week you'll be able to find it right here on this channel. Episode 151 will be the Supercast. You can also check out the Journey to Comics network over at journeytocomics.com, and it's going to be over there as well. So I've got more with my friends. I got some more talking with some of my friends. First up, of course, was Blaine. Second up, he's a guy who has been widely regarded on this show as Player 3. We've had him on a lot. And in the recent weeks, it's been difficult for me and him to get together because we've had technical snafus. This interview that I'm about to show you a chat, was no different. We finally got it figured out, and we were able to record it. Also, he was suffering from a fever. Not what's going on right now. It was different. He had confunk. They went up to C2E2, and he had he came down with like a flu, influenza from the con, I'm no stranger to that. I've been to cons. I've gotten sick afterwards. But thankfully, it wasn't what's going around now. So, with that being said, spoiler alert, it's Tyler. And joining me here right now, what really could be the heart and soul of this podcast, especially when he's on it, the one and only Tyner McLaughlin.
How you doing, Brandon?
Dude, I'm doing pretty damn good. This is episode 150. Of course, I'm trying to get everybody who's been sort of involved, been made appearances. Of course, I mean, there aren't too many people who can have a number of appearances that are like quite match yours. You've been on quite a few over the years here on the show.
Well, it's if I had a choice, to talk about really anything, our friendship was built on like, hey man, you like video games? Yeah, I didn't know you liked video games too. And then our whole friendship blossomed because of it. So, we're both busy dudes and we live far away from each other. So the times that I've been on the show, it gives us a good excuse to hang out. Not that we need one anyway.
Oh, no, man, you're right. And it's always cool to sit back and just pick your brain about what you think about what's going on. Like, I thought it was really cool how, like, the last time that you were on, you gave kind of your couple month in review of Stadia. Mm-hmm. And then we had that long period of where nothing was happening with Stadia at all. And then they're like, we got some new games. And they're like kind of all indie games that kind of came out for it. So that was kind of cool because that was something that I'm not even into. I didn't get in on the Stadia, but man, you've got that Founders Edition. Is there any update on that from your point of view?
Yeah. So, you and I briefly talked maybe about a month ago, just kind of in passing about how, as far as the industry goes, the service as a whole is kind of dead, just because they had went like 60 continuous days without anything being added to Stadia, and then they broke that obviously. But my buddy Andy, who we agreed when the service was announced that for what little it cost, you're basically paying for a Chromecast Ultimate and a nice controller that I can use with my PC if I ever decide to do any PC gaming anyway. So the money was kind of there, but we figured out that after 8 p.m. Our Eastern Standard Time, we cannot play on Stadia, like anything. I can't even boot up Farming Simulator and play that, which is strangely addicting, by the way. Don't sleep on Farming Simulator. but I did a lot of digging, and I kind of put Metronet's feet to the fire, and I'm like, look, I pay for a 1 gigabyte service, and around this 8 p.m. this peak bandwidth time, I'm getting like 25 megabits per second. And part of the problem is Google uses their own proprietary speed test because of their giant, underground server hub that they have, God knows wherever it's at. So we are on Chicago's basically Metronet to Google information hub. If we were on Indianapolis's, we would have no problem. For some reason, Chicago and Google don't communicate very well with each other. So, if I'm home on a Saturday and I want to play some games, it's great. There's no lag, and it's extremely frustrating to go. Like, I've played a lot of Destiny 2 because of the service. I got basically the Ultimate Edition for free. To go from Stadia to Xbox, Stadia has no load times whatsoever, or if they are, it's literally a fraction of a second. Xbox is sometimes minutes. So, and the game doesn't look as good, So it's been frustrating, but with Larian Studios is the big reason why I got the Google Stadia, because of now that the industry has seen, over an hour of gameplay, Baldur's Gate 3, and now it's going to be early access for Stadia 2, just Stadia and PC. So I will at least stand by the service until kind of that early access period happens, and then I'll probably quit paying for it after that if it doesn't improve.
It was kind of funny because I was thinking about it just the other day, or maybe it was today, because we are recording this maybe like a week or two before episode 50 actually happens, and we're just kind of catching up. And that Mike Bloomberg dropped out of the presidential race, and I thought that Google Stadia was kind of like the Mike Bloomberg of the video game world, where they spent all this money, made all this hoopla, and they came in, and he's like, "All right, I guess we're done."
Well, and it's really sad too, because like I said, when the service and system works, it's fantastic, it's flawless. But when it doesn't work at all. Yeah. So if they could just figure it out, you and I have said for a long time, we're the old man yelling at the cloud. No pun intended there. We don't want games as a service, but for somebody that is maybe in an incredibly large city or on the go all the time, something like the Stadia might fill a niche that maybe the Nintendo Switch can't always do.
Sure. And it was really cool to kind of pick your brain about the Stadia, even back then, even now, to when you said that, like the whole trouble with, is it just location? Why you're why you're connected to the Chicago hub instead of the Indianapolis hub?
I argued with Metronet literally for hours one night. I stayed up until like almost 2:00 in the morning arguing with them, because that was around the time when it had just started to happen. So, shortly after you and I discussed Stadia on Game Addicts, it's like all of a sudden it just started to happen, when before that I had no problems. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what setting I picked, balanced, whatever the low setting is, or the performance based, at 8:00, it's just like, well, you don't get to play video games tonight. And, after going back and forth and around with Metronet, they're like, well, you know what? This is the information that we have. And basically, we're not going to admit fault here, but we're also going to say, and the person that I finally got like some answers out of, I really appreciate them, but they're like, you know what? You are like the 300th person that's called today to talk about this. And it's like, there's not that many people that have the service. So Google and Metronet, like specifically it's Metronet, like they are not worried about it because the sample size is so small. So, if there were, 3 or 4 million people that had Stadia, they might give a shit a little bit. But if you go to like any major gaming outlet, Inside Gaming, IGN, GameSpot, the list goes on, their opinions of the service is that it's essentially just dead. So, and they released content like every day. Like yesterday, I saw more Stadia's dead content. They are almost driving that narrative home or even if the shit gets fixed, like it's not going to be worth it.
Well, yeah, because once you control a narrative like that, and once you start driving that, and people won't even look into it. They'll see the headline, "Stadia's dead," and like, oh, well, I guess I won't even look into that. Maybe I was, maybe that person was kind of interested. They were kind of waiting to see, maybe a little while, maybe some newer games to come out for it, and then he starts just seeing, like as you said, all these online publications are like saying, "No, dude, it's pretty much dead." So now that they won't even look into the fact as to what's going on with it. They're just going to shift and go, well, I guess instead of getting that, I'll just go get the new Xbox or new PlayStation, whatever, and just stick with that.
Correct.
Speaking of new stuff, as I said, this is like a few weeks before 150 actually airs. This week, the Final Fantasy VII demo came out for PlayStation Plus.
I just downloaded it. I haven't played it yet.
Oh, dude, I can't wait for you. I can't wait to hear what you got to say about it, because it's different.
Awesome.
It's different, but it doesn't. It's awesome. I mean, as of I think it was yesterday, there was 5,000 reviews, and they were it was sitting at 5 stars on the PlayStation Store. It's
awesome.
It's everything that, as far as visually, everything that I wanted. FF7, it's like the old rose-colored glasses. It's that's what it always looked like, dude. No, it wasn't, but that's what it looked like in my head.
Well, and I think as pretty as the game as it is, fans of the series, I'm not even a fan of the game, of the original. 9 is obviously where my heart lies. But, when Advent Children came out, if you could just give me a remake of the game that just looks like Advent Children, I of course will buy it. And then that's what they ended up doing anyway. It looks better than Advent Children did,
It does, doesn't it? The gameplay was fun. I've done one playthrough. It was funny because I woke up on Monday morning and it was Christmas. And it was I woke up, it was right at 6. I'm like, oh man, it's too early for me to get up. But your body's like, no, dude, you better. And I'm looking at my phone and I got an email. It's Square demo. I'm I marched my butt right out to the living room, turned my PlayStation on, hit download, and then proceeded to go with my morning routine. And then thankfully I've got gigabit internet here at the house. It was done in no time flat. Sat down. It was just after 6, and there I am, first thing in the morning, mouth open, oh yes. Yeah. I can't wait to hear what you got to say about it. But I'm super excited for this game to come out. There was a news headline that kind of came out that said Red 13 will not be playable in this first game.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Some people were upset about it, and I was too when I read the headline. Because I guess Red 13 is going to be like a guest character, kind of like the Kingdom Hearts thing, where he's there and he's fighting, but you can't switch over to him.
Correct.
And they actually said the reason for that is because you get him so late into the story that they didn't really feel like you had enough time to dive your teeth into his mechanics, his moves, and they really didn't want to introduce a character that late into the story, which, they're telling that first opening Midgar section, yeah, you get him pretty much at the end of it.
Right.
So he's there. And
historically too, you and I, especially as many RPGs as we've played, you get a character late in game and it's well, this character is either incredibly overpowered and I'm going to use them no matter what, or they're so interesting I have to use them. But most of the time it's well, I got another character that I'll never use, and then you don't ever play with them anyway. So I saw the same headline and I of course was wow, that's a bold move because of, it's a red lion dog. It's going to pull at your heartstrings and the original story of him being experimented on and everything. Fans, there might be more fans that like Red 13 than fucking Cloud,
Oh, yeah.
You just don't know. So, but I read a follow-up article that basically said after this, opening experience, you can play with him as much as you want. So I mean,
yeah, going into part 2 that he's going to be there just like everybody else, so it doesn't hurt me also to note that they haven't given a time window for part 2, but a lot of the hard work has already kind of been done,
right,
so to speak. So hopefully where this was a 5-year overall developmental cycle for this one game,
Mhm.
that was started by another company. I think the company that does like the Disgaea games started it.
Yeah.
And then Square came in and said, no, this isn't up to our snuff. Completely restarted the project. So that was probably a good 40 years of like hard development time. And then to get this, and before this even got completed, they're like, we already got a team that's putting together part 2. And
Well, and I would go, I would be bold enough to say that part 2 is pretty much done already anyway. That part 1's going to come out here shortly, and then, maybe holiday season, maybe the beginning, like quarter 1 next year, like right out of the gate, we get part 2.
that'd be nuts.
Yep.
That would be nuts. But I think it would behoove them to get it done, sooner than later, and not not make people wait, because this game's coming out right at the end of the cusp of the PS4 Xbox One console cycle, and we're going into the next one. So the next one will more than likely either be, if it is that soon, it'll probably be a dual generation, which I wouldn't be surprised to see the whole trilogy, if that's, we don't even know if it's a trilogy, but I would assume so, be cross-plat, like you're going to get the PS4 and a PS5 version. Which to me that would only make sense, because how much would it suck if you're like a kid or a budget gamer and you finally dived into the PS4? It's near the end, you're like, I'm just going to dive into the PS4. I got this big old library, got FF7 coming out, that'd be cool. And then they're like, all right, for the next one, you have to go out and buy the next system. That would kind of suck.
Well, and I think especially too, it would, it might kind of do some negative marketing there, saying, well, when I get my budget kind of back up to where it needs to be, I'll buy an Xbox instead, just because, it might push some people away.
I would, if I was Square, I wouldn't do it. I definitely would I would release all the games like when PS5 comes out, release an update for them, and don't even worry about releasing PS5 versions, because it's completely backwards compatible, and from what I understand, you're going to be able to just update the games from the developer and just to get your higher res or higher frame rate and whatnot.
Gotcha.
But, that's just from what I understand. I saw a thing from Cyberpunk. It was from CD Projekt Red, where they said, and then this was primarily for the Xbox version, but I would assume it goes hand in hand for the PS4 version or PS5 version. They said that when the game comes out in September now, that when the new consoles launch, you are going to be able to download the update to optimize the games for those new consoles for free. And they explicitly said, because they don't believe that you should have to pay for the same game twice.
Correct. Which, hats off to CD Projekt Red for kind of setting the standard for the rest of the industry. Pretty much everyone needs to look at that and say, there's a reason this company, is a strong up and comer, and there's a reason they have a lot of business, and it's customer service like that. Did
you see that for the Switch, for Witcher 3 on the Switch, there is cross save, compatibility with Steam.
Yep.
That is cool. I kind of wish they would have it for the other consoles, but I get why they don't yet. Right. You would think that maybe there would be like an Xbox thing coming down the line for it, but the simple fact that they were able to do that, to me, that's another copy of Witcher 3 sold. Somebody's like, well, I got a Switch. I might as well just go ahead and pick one up for like, $40 or $50, however much it is. And then it's like, I'm supporting a developer that is really like looking after their fan base.
Well, and especially too with the success of the show and the original creator of the IP, there is so much buy-in from corporate level all the way down to grassroots to us. We just want to play the games. More copies have been sold on Steam since the show was mildly successful than the entire original run of the game.
I know, that's nuts, isn't it?
Which is great, because it's one of the greatest franchises of all time for a reason. So
that's really cool. But you know what, Tyler? It's so great to always have you on here on the show. I'm so glad that you're able to call in and do a little thing for me for 150, just chat a little bit.
Well, I appreciate being here.
Oh, dude, I got some stuff planned. So some episode themes, maybe some retrospectives or whatever. And I'll throw some of those your way. And if any one of those interest you, If you want to be a part of them, we'll definitely try and link up again. Hopefully we have no more technical snafus. That has been...
It seems like every time we want to record, it's like the ether out there is just not ready for it.
Worst case scenario, I'll pull exactly what I did last time and just say, screw video. I'm just coming over to your house and we'll just sit down somewhere and we'll talk for an hour or so.
However we got to do it to get the episodes recorded. That's all that matters.
Right. This way is pretty cool. I like doing this format. I like having us face to face and let the people see it because I've been trying to do that. But here lately, it hasn't been feasible with my episode plans, so I haven't done it. However, dude, it's been such a great honor having you a part of the show all the way back from when you first came on. We were talking about backlogs and stuff that I'm still working on my backlogs from that episode.
Fucking tell me about it. My buddy texted me the other day and he's like, hey, the super deluxe edition of Borderlands 3 is on sale for like $40. And I was like, well, it looks like I'm buying a game that I said I wasn't going to buy. And then the backlog just increases.
Right. Absolutely. But dude, it's been awesome. Having you part of all the stuff. Of course, you've even made appearances for our for some of our E3 watch-alongs and stuff. We'll have to do some of that. Who knows? They said they're still going to do E3 this year, even with the coronavirus. But I'm not sure if anybody else is going to show up.
That's what I was going to say. As long as I feel like I have the coronavirus right now, but as long as that crazy disease doesn't try and steal our fun away, I hope to link up again.
You know what? Thank you, especially with you feeling the way you do. I got a little lucky, and I got like influenza the week that I had off for my baby. Even though I was supposed to be helping with the baby, I couldn't go anywhere near the baby for the first couple of days because I had a fever. Right. And I pretty much that turned into like bronchitis, and then it spread to my larynx. It was like a 3-week ordeal where I just felt like complete dog crap, and I felt like that meme of Joker when he's strolling down and just gets hit by a car. Everything was going great. We got the baby home. Everything was fine. We got released early. Boom! And a car hit me. And I'm like, I remember laying there. She took my temperature. It was like 104. She goes, and to be fair, the 104 was elevated because the boy was wanting to. My oldest was wanting to watch some movie I didn't want to watch. So I put my hood over my eyes and was napping, and it caused me to like internally bake myself. I almost boiled my brain. But hope you feel better, and I'll be in touch with you here soon. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for always having me.
Always, man. Until next time, I'll see you later, bud.
Later.
As I said, previously recorded, E3 is not happening. A lot of things are not happening because of redacted pandemic. We already said it, coronavirus. Yeah, and a lot of things are happening. A lot of things have changed. As I said, these first few clips, that are about 20 minutes and like long, if you want to call that a clip. They were done at the beginning of the month before any of this got real bad, and now at the end of the month, it's bad. Here we are. This is where we're at. I didn't say this at the top of the show, and I've been trying to say it, but I hope this podcast finds you all well. I hope this podcast finds you all healthy and staying safe and staying healthy. And my thoughts are out there to everybody who's been affected in any way. These are trying times, both in terms of our wellness as well as the economy. So hang in there, guys. We're going to get through this together, one way or another. It's all about togetherness, and that's exactly what that Supercast was for, and that's what today is for as well, having all these guys on. It's all about togetherness. We all need to come together. We need to, come together over the internet if we need to, right? Because at least we have the technology. I can call my parents and I can talk to them. I can do video chat on them. We can see each other. This is the era that we now live in. The next guy on the show is the guy that pretty much got me into podcasting. He's been on the show a few times. He was on the show just a few episodes ago for the first time in a long time. Up next is they call him the Podfather. I've jokingly called him the Padre. And then, and this clip, I think I said the Padre of Poddington. I don't know. Nate Phillips, everybody, is up next here on the show. And me and him go way back, dude. I was a guest on his podcast. I became co-host of his podcast. Migrated away from that podcast. Started this podcast on that spot. This podcast has deep roots into the Journey into Comics network, which wasn't even called that at the moment in time. I helped co-found that with him, and they're still going strong. I'm part of it with the OGs. And let's sit back and hear what Nate has to say. I'm not even sure. I can't remember what we talked about. It's been about a month ago. We sat down. We talked about some stuff. Again, previously recorded. Not entirely up to date with the newest load of info out there. But I'm going to take it over. And here's Nate Phillips. Hey, guys. And I am back here with the Podfather, the Pod Daddy, the Padre of Poddington, if you will, Nate Phillips from the Journey into Comics Network. Nate, how many nicknames do you have concerning the word pod and then the word of a father figure?
Who, me?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's just like there's so many. Back when I talked to Blaine, I actually for his name down there, like below me it says Brando, below you it says Nate, and then for Tyler it said Tyler, but for him I put Dr. Dongo, and I introduced him as Dr. Dongo, the Dongus Maximus, and he goes, "Wow, that's a new one." I gotta tell Nick that he'll like that. I'm like, he might not like it because it might be putting you over too much.
Oh, true.
Like, no, man, that sounds way too much like an ego trip to call yourself the Dongus Maximus.
Maximum dongage.
How's it going, man? How you been?
I'm doing all right. Chilling. We're doing a little podcasting through the video world today, which has been a fun venture, and hopefully I sound nifty through the powers of the interwebs. But man, it's been a trip. I've been playing a lot of video games actually lately.
Yeah, I kind of hooked you up with a little code here for Jedi Fallen Order, which I got with my new Xbox, which I already purchased the game on the PlayStation. So I didn't need that code, and I'm like I remember Tyler said he was going to buy it, so I'm like, Tyler, do you need this? He goes, I just bought it. I went, well, I wonder who else could use it. And then I remembered, hey, you have an Xbox One. Because
I do.
You end up getting like an original model. So I'm like, hey, man, do you want this? You're like, does a bear shit in the woods?
Yeah, that's exactly how I said it too. Does a bear shit in the woods?
Maybe on Kashyyyk, but
I like what you did there.
So how you liking the game, dude? How you liking Jedi Fallen Order?
Bro, it is very massive. I have a very driven, I want 100% everything. And most planets right now I have 96%, and I don't understand where that 4% is not at. Maybe that there's something that unlocks once you beat the game. I don't know. But I just went and retrieved the Kyber crystal that gives you the option to change your saber's color. And then I also just defeated the Jedi that you meet on Dathomir, and then picked up the Night Sister to join the team. But all in all, man, I love the mechanic of the game. It's like Dark Souls meets Uncharted, meets Assassin's Creed a little bit, meets, Knights of the Old Republic in some ways, but not fully, It's great, man. There's a lot of fun gameplay to it. I will say my version, and I'm guessing this is probably just because the Xbox model I have is a little glitchy, but all in all, it's been all right.
Well, it's not your model. It's just the game. The game itself is a little glitchy. That's to be expected. They did rush the game out. They did admit that. But they tried to make it to where the glitches were minimal. Now, I went from playing Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy, which is the expansion for 4.
Sure. Yeah.
And because I got the new 4K TV in the living room, and I wanted to get some of the best looking games that I had and play them on there, because why the hell not? And Uncharted 4 is one of the best looking PS4 games. And I loaded that thing up, and I was like, oh my God, here I am. I'm right back into it. Because I was originally just going to play Lost Legacy, but I'm like, nah, I got to play Uncharted 4 again because it's such a good game. And I did. And the traversal, the parkour, the climbing is so on point, and it feels tight because and as it should, because that's the core element of said Uncharted, is for you to be swinging and climbing around everywhere. Because of that, when I went to Jedi Fallen Order and the climbing and jumping and the platforming, the traversal's not as precise. And I was so used to it being so tight that I would just be climbing and then just jump to my death.
I've done it a lot, yes.
And I'm just
like, fuck, there I go. Okay.
Yep. And so, like, that was a nitpick. It didn't ruin the experience for me by any means, but it definitely was like, wow, I definitely went from one game that is like spent a lot of time saying, this is what it's got to be. Our level has to be here. And this one was like, it's down here a bit. It's doable, but it definitely wasn't tight. The game is fun. I did not like the fighting the gutter trash, the rats and the little toads. I didn't like that because they're
fucking stink bug, June bug thing.
They're just as hard to kill as as like the troopers and the things with lightsabers, and I didn't enjoy that because I'm like, that's not really realistic. It kind of is when you get to the end and you'll understand why. But no, the game was absolutely fun. The only issue with me is I probably wouldn't play it again until I'm gearing up for like the second one.
Okay.
It's a fun playthrough and I had fun with it. But I'm also not the biggest fan of the Dark Souls style of game where you get killed and have to go and run all the way back and get that thing. To me, when that is being brought about as far as like difficulty, I'm like, oh, just get good. It's more of an annoyance than get good. Because then when I keep messing up and I just keep having to redo the part and over again, and where it's in something that I could easily just skip it, and it's not necessary to move on, but I have to go and engage and hit that enemy once to get all my crap back. Otherwise, like, it wasn't worth it. I'm not really big on those types of games. I'm like, it got to a point where when gaming becomes a chore to me, it's no longer fun. And like a lot of times, like now as I'm getting older and I'm getting, and I'm playing games, fetch quests become very apparent to me. That's all this is a fetch quest. And instantly I can just like lose interest because like all I'm doing is getting something. And I'm like, come on, these are filler missions here. Like GTAs and stuff like that. They're pretty big on that. Like, go to get this, go do that. And that was something that in playing Final Fantasy 15 was hard because a lot of stupid little fetch quests. And I'm just like, can we just carry on with the damn story? I'm 10 hours in and don't know who the damn Empire is or why they've taken over and killed my dad. Like, you're like, oh, the evil Empire in Niflheim. Well, why do they want this shit? And they don't mention that. Meanwhile, in the old tried and true Game Addicts fashion, watch the damn movie first. If you watch Kingslave in the first 10 seconds, you're like, Niflheim, they're obsessed with magic, but they are tech. They want magic. So they invaded and they killed the king because they want his magic. And 10 hours into FF15, they couldn't say that.
Motherfuckers.
Like, come on.
Can I say that on this show?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that no, it's cool. I try not to as much as I can. The podcast is listed as explicit content just because there are times where myself, Mike, or Tyler have just gotten frustrated enough that we let them go. I don't want to like censor myself in that respect because if I remember on the episode I was really angry about that. Mike's like, hey man, you need to watch this movie, but I'm going to warn you, you're going to be really angry. I'm like, why would I be angry? He goes, you're going to be mad with what you told me and how you were angry about this game. You're going to be mad right away. And quite literally, we sat down and within the first 30 seconds, I looked at him. He goes, yeah, I knew it. I'm like,
motherfucker.
Yeah, but God damn it. Watch the damn movie first. Watch the damn movie first. Like, if we were a big enough podcast at the time to have shirts, that would have been a shirt. And like with the Final Fantasy font, watch the movie first. 15. But I'm really glad that you're digging Jedi. Are you playing anything else? You said you're playing a lot. Is there anything else that you're playing?
I'm playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 Black Order for the Switch.
How you like that?
I really love those games. I've been a fan since the X-Men Legends games, X-Men Legends 2, and then obviously I transitioned to Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, and, now we're at 3, and it's, it's more of the same. It's that style, you're playing a kind of hack 'em slash 'em type fighting combo team thing. I enjoy it. I like that I can have like a power team with Star-Lord and Captain Marvel and Thor and Iron Man that all fly around and are dope as shit, And there's me using bad language again. I'm really poor at this when I'm thinking about it. It just slips my mouth like lava, just like blah.
Yeah. That one's exclusive to the Switch, and it was actually published by Nintendo. I remember me and this guy that I work with, Will, we were talking about why is that exclusive to the Switch? Well, we looked it up. It's because Nintendo published the damn thing, and it was developed by Team Ninja from Bandai Namco or something like that.
Yes, it is.
And from what I understand, they did not do the originals, right? Was that somebody else? Was that Activision?
Yeah, I think it was Activision, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what team did it, but I know that they published it. But yeah, I've always kind of wanted to play that and pick it up, but it's also one of those things that's not really big far on my radar. I was interested in that new Avengers game coming out, but then I got delayed, and I'm just like, my give a crap about it has kind of like, not that I don't want to play it, because it's got some really great voice actors in it. As far as it's got Troy Baker, it's got Nolan North, and more others that I'm not even forgetting, and I'm forgetting the name right now. But to hear, like, I want to say Nolan North plays Tony Stark. He's the guy that voices Drake from Uncharted.
Yeah, on Uncharted, yep.
And then I want to say Troy Baker plays Hulk.
Interesting.
A different kind of character for him. So like the trailer looked phenomenal, and it looks really neat in how you can switch back and forth between characters during the level. But I'm really super excited for the new for RE3 remake. The Resident Evil 3 remake. RE2 was fantastic, and even more so than that, this is like the third call that I've done for this thing. And the third time I'm mentioning it, the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Holy crap, that demo came out on the PS4. You can download it now for free.
Oh, shit. I'm going to do that after this.
Yeah, go do it. And because I know Sarah is a huge Final Fantasy fan as well. I know she's more of a FF6, FF3. However, I know that she does enjoy a lot of the music. And what's awesome about the music is Nobuo Uematsu, the original composer for the original music, has reorchestrated the original FF7 soundtrack with a complete orchestra. Yeah.
I just can't get any larger.
It sounds amazing. You can actually go on to YouTube and find like a 50-minute thing where they've actually ripped the soundtrack from the vinyl that came out. And you can hear like how things have updated, like the opening prelude Final Fantasy song, the opening intro into the bombing mission, into like the battle theme and the reactor theme and the Shinra theme. It's like I kid you not, it was like 2 weeks ago. I was sitting in my living room. I was waiting for my mom and her boyfriend to come over, and we were going to put together my new couch, and I found it, and I'm like, holy crap, this is the soundtrack. So I clicked it, and I just sat there, listening, getting goosebumps, because this is one of those rare games for me that I have that kind of emotional attachment to.
Totally.
And they have like 5 different versions of the battle theme that are like, it's like battle theme mixed with the Shinra theme. It only plays when you're fighting in the Shinra building, or it's like this battle. It's kind of, they weaved a few things together. And but when I got to the Shinra theme and I started listening to it, like, I started tearing up and getting emotional. And my wife Kate walked by. She goes, "Are you okay?" I went, "They could have messed this up in so many different ways, and they didn't." She goes,
"Yeah, they hit it right."
She goes, "Are you kidding me right now?" I said, "No. Like, this is like, it's awesome to hear that, like, these songs, like, because they were on the original FF7, they were in original mid-eye form. Still, they weren't even in the newer because the PlayStation could do better audio quality, and they were just in mid-eye, and they sounded great for mid-eye. They just Nobuo did such a great job with that soundtrack, and he could do so much with so little that when you give him a complete orchestra to work with, and it's it's about a 7 gig demo. The demo is about 45 to 50 minutes long. It's
okay.
It's the opening reactor bombing mission, and it is going to be more than what you expect.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to play like it plays like a mix between Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy 15.
My tiny little nipples just went to France.
Yeah. the big cool cutscenes with the voice actors nail it. Even when Barrett gets all preachy, it's like, yes, this is exact. In my brain, this is how it always looked, right? As I said to Tyler earlier, but like I didn't think I could be any more standing at mast for this game. And then I heard that soundtrack and got emotional, and then got to play the demo, and I'm at my flag is at full staff right now.
Maximum staffage.
Maximum staffage. Oh, dude. No, I'm so ready for this game. I encourage you to download that demo and play it, and then and get if Sarah cares about it, have her like sit down or at least listen to like the music or whatnot, because I think she'll get a real kick out of it.
Shit, yeah.
But
hell yeah, man.
But Nate, thank you so much for coming on here and talking a little bit here on episode 150. I've been wanting to get a lot of the guys have been associated with the show. Of course, I mean, this show wouldn't be here without the things that we did over on JIC. And, as I said earlier, the whole thing started really when we started doing the solo casts and tried to do every single week shows. And when I would do my shows, they sometimes would be more gaming oriented. And then, of course, I brought on Mike and I brought on Nick. And then we did a whole gaming-centric episode and nostalgia episode. And that kind of begat, eventually, the spin-off shows, which this show was a part of on the old GIC YouTube, where it was Game Medics Podcast, it was Journey into Wrestling, and it was Foodies Watching Movies. It was the first wave of new shows and content that came out of the Journey into Comics umbrella.
Man, it's crazy to even think about that. I just want to say thank you for having me on 150. It's been an absolute blast. Congrats for hitting that. It's a crazy mark. I'm trying not to laugh my ass off because all of a sudden I've got to sneeze. And it's right when I'm trying to say some like sentimental, important shit, dude. This is like, come on, man. Anyways, congrats for hitting 150, bro. You guys were awesome and very inspirational, driving force behind the network's early days, and obviously grateful for everything you've done for us. This show has some special place in my heart because we have had a lot of really fun episodes together, retrospectives, other things. I still think one of the greatest episodes this show did was when you and Sarah had a podcast together that had so much content and just was such a great in-depth conversation. So I'm excited to see what the next 150 for this show, end up being like.
Oh yeah, dude, that episode with Sarah. I remember when we did episode 100, I did some clips, like just some random clips of like some moments throughout the show, and I chose a clip from that because it was so different and unique. That episode, I believe it's 52. It's called.
I think it is 52. Yeah,
I know it's called Horror Business, and we were talking about some of our favorite horror games and whatnot. But I just remember the whole presence, the whole presence of it was weird because quite literally that was a podcasting day, and you, Blaine, and Andrew were downstairs in the kitchen talking and doing a podcast. Meanwhile, upstairs in a different room, like with the door shut, no one, like me and Sarah were in this room having we were having two different podcasts going at once.
Yeah,
like
we're the pros at that.
And of course, like that was back in the day before I had my setup. I had the camera, I had lights. Of course, I didn't use the lights because we had really good natural lighting for that episode. But it was just like, you know, throughout the years, I've always wanted to do something different. I always wanted to bring something new to the podcast instead of just sitting there doing audio. You know, audio's fine, dude. The audio's where it's at, and that's where it gets going. But one of the things I like to experiment with is to do something like how I've got this set up, how we're doing stuff now for OGs and experimenting with that. Or, you know, like when before I had this set up, how could I do what I have in my head without having the money and the technology to do so? And I had a crappy camera, which I made slightly less crappy by having some pretty good lighting. And all I did was put the Zoom and plug it into the camera and recorded our podcast. And I had to render our entire podcast episode. That's why for a long time our episodes came out. I believe it was like we recorded on Wednesday. The audio would come out on Thursday. The video would come out on Friday because it took me like literally, like I got home and I imported everything, and then Thursday I actually had to edit and put down the podcast on video to get it all ready and export it because it just took forever to do it that way. And I'm so glad that you know I was able to get my new setup and get us, you know, more streamlined to where literally I'm all set up. There are some technical snafus, like with our internet connection, which is now fine now that we've stopped a certain upload, or when, you know, me and Tyler always have issues. It's always something out there, as we mentioned over there when I was talking to him. But I'm so happy to have you on because it's such an important, you know, thing to me because you have been on this show on and off. You know, you're on, like as you said, we did some retrospectives. I remember we did like the 360 retrospective together. There was another PS3. I think we did PS3 together.
I thought we did PS2
PS2.
together.
We did PS2 together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe N64.
I think we did do N60. Yeah, because you had the
Yeah.
book. Yeah. Yes. You had that book that you brought along, and of course we did those in that old style with the camera. You know, now this is how I do it, man. I just hook up and we link up together and we get a good connection going, and it's so smooth because all I'm going to do is hit that record button and it's going to be done, and then the video is done, and all I got to do is format the video into audio and then add on whatever I need to add on in Audacity and upload that sucker, and it's done within a matter of minutes after I'm done. While all that stuff's important, what I'm doing is over here I'm getting my thumbnail ready for the YouTube video if I have an idea for it.
Hey, nice.
But I mean, it's it. You know, I like to bring new ideas and bring up different ways to do stuff because it's just, one, it's a challenge, but two, it's dare to be different. You know, like how can you separate yourself from what everybody else is doing?
Absolutely.
Well, Nate, really want to thank you again. And of course, let everybody else here who's listening know I do a show with this wacky guy over on the Journey into Comics network at journeyintocomics.com called The OGs. Of course, we did the original, form of JIC, Journey into Comics. That's why we're the OGs, because we go back. And so there's that whole, there's a plethora of shows on the network you could check out, not just ours. But check ours out. We're about ready to ramp that show up once again and get back to your audio whoop ass, if you will, that audio awesomeness going right directly into your ear holes. And, of course, we're going to be doing some YouTube stuff as well, as long as the whole thing pans out the way that it should. So, Nate, thanks once again for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, brother. You guys be safe, be well, and hope to see you guys again on Game Addicts Podcast next time I'm on.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I got some ideas for some episodes. I'm going to swing them over your way, and if you're interested in any of them, we'll have to make it work, man.
Yeah, excited.
All right, man. Later on, bud.
Later.
I want to do a real podcast.
You want to do a real podcast?
Yeah.
Well, you're in luck because we're live on the air. Welcome back, guys. And my next guests.
Yeah, because you know a lot. Because you do it. Because you're going to send...
You break... No. You're cutting my headset apart. Hey, so this is my son Wyatt. This is my son Owen. And holding him is my wife Caitlin.
That's like because Brian's wife.
And these guys are a very, very, very important part of my life. And somebody likes the podcast, don't you?
Yeah.
What do you like to podcast about?
About Spider-Man, Avengers, Batman, and Star Wars.
Well, so all my posters.
Yeah.
You like to podcast about superheroes and Star Wars? Do you like video games?
Yes, I do.
What's your favorite video game?
The Spider-Man game in Wrestling 19.
Wrestling? Do you like Mario?
Yes.
Do you like Mario Kart?
Yeah.
What's your favorite? Who do you like to race as in Mario Kart? Which character is your favorite character to race as?
Yoshi.
Yoshi?
Red. Yoshi Red.
Oh, the red Yoshi?
Yes.
Yeah. So earlier you asked me if this was Yoshi, and it is. He's a pretty, meaning we don't take him out of the box. These are called amiibos. Can you say amiibo? Amiibo. Good job. See, you're getting it.
Sounds like likes because we just do all podcasts when it's time because anyone's like that, and we do a lot podcasts, and we don't, and because we play a lot of games, right?
Yeah, I mean, Daddy does play a lot of games.
Yeah, we do. We do a lot because you know something we understand. And that's saying connect to the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I'm saying connect to the Wi-Fi when it goes to connected to the Wi-Fi with Spotify and also YouTube.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love having you on my show.
Yeah.
Because you always say something funny.
Saying yes.
And you just start blabbing and talking. And you know what? Sometimes I don't know. It's like talking to myself, I bet.
Oh, yes. It does because you can actually talk to a person on the laptop or on the computer or some games.
Talking to him is what I feel like what all my friends must feel like talking to me.
And you know it, and we can use the microphone.
We don't gotta poke the microphone, no. We don't even have to touch the microphone. See, it's on its own stand. It just sits right here and chills out.
Well, I want to make it right here.
Right here? And what do you got to say? One last thing.
Blaze!
What was that?
A little bit of the bubbly.
A little bit of the bubbly. All right. Well, up next is one of my good friends, Jeremy. He is the co-host of the In-Game Boss podcast and curator of the program, as well as my co-host for the World Gaming Trade Show. And this next thing, this next bit with him is going to be a long one. It is like the longest conversation of the bit. It's almost an hour. Is that funny?
Yes.
Well, it's the longest conversation of the entire run. And so stay tuned because this is almost an hour long of me and him just shooting the breeze. So.
Shoot the breeze because it was in line.
Well, do you want to go shoot the breeze?
Yes.
All right. We're going to go shoot the breeze in the other room. So enjoy this segment with Jeremy. And today, here on the show, I am here with my next guest here on episode 150. A really cool dude and one of the co-hosts that I'm doing a really cool podcast with. The one and only. He is the co-host of the In-Game Boss podcast, the curator of the In-Game Boss program, and my co-host on the World Gaming Trade Show. Jeremy Evans, how's it going, bud?
Hey, man, thank you so much. Congratulations. 150, man. That's awesome.
Dude, 150 is quite an accomplishment, and I will say that this podcast, I've kind of put this podcast together in pieces. I've never done it like this. I remember way long ago, eons ago, in this same room, on Journey into Comics, we did episode 50, and we tried to get everybody who had ever been on that show on the same show. We had people calling in from California, people calling in from Pennsylvania. We had people in the room, and it was just a hot mess. It was we pulled it off. I don't know, because it was like two separate things. We had a bunch of games that we played, and I just remember like not really enjoying doing it, but enjoying listening to it more because I was too focused on making sure nothing messed up. I kind of did the same thing for this one, but I didn't get as many people, and I got some cool people to come onto the show and be a guest. And your name was at the top of the list because you'd never been on my show.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that invite. Like the Smash Brothers. Been waiting for that letter.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, it's awesome to get you on the show finally. And of course, I was on your show way back in July of last year.
Yeah.
That seems like 2 lifetimes ago now.
I know, it's been so long.
It's been a minute, but this episode 150 is going to be the tale of 2 podcasts, because the way I was describing it today, because as I said, I'm doing this in like batches. I've had a couple of guests on that I recorded 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about some games, talking about some cool stuff, and then I did another one today, and then you're the last guy that I have yet to record, and the span of things that have changed in the real world from 2 weeks ago to today,
right?
Like, this is not what this episode was supposed to be about. And it is not what this episode's about, but it does affect us because it affects everybody. And that's everything that's going on in the world right now with the coronavirus pandemic. And wow.
The struggle is real.
Man, my heart goes out to everybody who's been affected by this, whether or not you've been unlucky enough to catch it or lose your job. Dude, we don't know definitely how long this is going to be, or where we're going to be at financially after that.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm trying not to think about. It's something I'm trying to keep in the back of my head as, man, if shit hits a proverbial fan, they keep saying I ain't going to lose my house, but they didn't say anything about anything after that. Like, am I going to have a job after when it's all said and done and it's all like sunshine or roses at the end of this? Are we going to have jobs? Are we going to have that part of it's scary.
I try to stay positive about the situation. Just work on stuff that keeps me happy, to get through it, and definitely not catch it or try my best to catch it. Cause you can have it, you don't know, and you might be just fine. You don't know. It could just be a silent thing and you move on. But the more scary part is, am I getting somebody else with it? I don't know. But I try to stay positive about it, still wake up, still do my projects, go to work, come back, do this kind of stuff with that we love doing, podcasting and stuff. That's the best thing you can do. If you're with family or anything like that, stay with your loved ones, man. Just be positive with your family, just keep hopeful. I think that it will slow down. I'm not saying like the next day. It's going to be a couple of months. But it is kind of interesting that we are getting games out that are kind of being similar to this. I mean, we got Resident Evil 3 around the corner. And then The Last of Us is the next month. So, like, we're getting these trails of things that doesn't help the situation, I guess, but people are going to play it. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And so, because my buddy Nam, we just finished doing a review for Train to Busan, a South Korean movie about people that are affected and turned to zombies. So that's not a good idea either. So what can you do?
Oh,
what
dude.
can you do?
I know, dude. The only thing we can try to do is be positive. I just remember, like, I try to stay off my phone because whenever I look up news, it's nothing good. Pretty much. And so I try to do that. Try to stay off my phone. Try to get busy. Try to do something around the house. Watch a movie. Spend time, play with my kid. Play a game. But then I get those silent moments. I'm in the shower yesterday, and it just hits me. Like, well, we're gonna have some sort of plan.
Yes.
Just in case. Like, what do we do?
It's more of like you want to be prepared, but you don't want to over prepared. You know what I mean? Like, have in the back of your head, like, okay, I know I need the essential stuff to get going, but you don't need to think too far ahead because anything can change the next day. So you just need to kind of just take it little by little, but slowly be prepared.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. And you know what? I've been trying to keep that. Like, I had a short conversation with my wife about what I was thinking about. And then we didn't talk about it again. It's like, let's just move on. We're not there. We are not there. We have to keep trucking with what we do, and a lot of it is out of our hands. But I also like the thing about talking about this kind of stuff is that we are all in this together. Each and every one of us, whether or not you're just hanging out at home with your family, like you said, or whether or not you are one of the few that have already have been laid off or lost their jobs. Thankfully, there's a lot of people, a lot of companies that are hiring for some part-time work. I know that in my area, like there are grocery stores that are offering like, hey, we need help stock a shelves because we don't have enough people. You can go get some work there until you can get your, get your job back or whatever. And the same thing with Amazon. I saw Amazon is going to be bringing in like 100,000 people. They're like, hey, try and come in. You can work, help packing boxes for us. And, like it'll be temporary, but like at least hopefully you'll be able to get your job back at some point.
Yeah, because I think one of the things that people are going to have to get through their head is you got to do what you got to do to get money. I know that people might have like high jobs, high corporate jobs or whatever is giving you a lot of money. But if you got laid off, you got to do what you got to do, especially if you have a family. Like they got to come first. So if you got to be stocking, then so be it. But it's not forever. And that you're getting some money in there. So keep that in mind that, me, I don't care. I'll work.
Same.
I'll work. I'll do what I got to do. Now, I don't have a family like you. But at the same time, I do still have responsibilities still. And I'll do what I got to do to make sure I don't go broke.
Same.
And so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got 2 kids to feed, and they come absolutely first. Everything that's cool in this room will all go away in a heartbeat if it means to feed those kids.
Right.
And
that's a thing that people have to understand. I think it took me as a gamer to realize that back in the day, it was all about being the first kid on the block with a new game. Because social media wasn't big at the time and everything like that. But now as I got older, I realized that, these games ain't going nowhere. I bought it. I can play whatever I want. I'm not in a rush. Yeah. I don't care. I don't care if I'm late to the party as everybody else. I'll play when I need to play it. And with that consequence, I have like a huge back catalog, like over 50 games. But the point is that they're mine and I can take my time with them.
Exactly.
And I think some people, I guess what I'm getting at is for people that, you need to be careful what you buy. Buy what you really need, not buy stuff that you want.
Well, and the thing is I got bit by the collecting bug probably about 6 years ago at this point. And a lot of the extra income that I had, and I didn't have kids at the time either, was, hey, I want to start a collection. I want to start a gaming collection.
Right.
And, even when I think about how big my collection is, it's pretty sizable. But it's nowhere near what some other people have rooms full of games.
Yeah, those Batman caves, man.
Yeah, I know. And and I love having my games. I absolutely love it. But if push comes to shove, they are all gone in an instant. And the beauty of games, just as you said, they're going to be around. So guess what happens is if I have to sell each and single thing that I own, and we get back up on our feet one day, we get everything's nice and kosher once again, I can kickstart that thing up again and start picking them up one at a time. Just like I did, 6-7 years ago. And, I absolutely, games are a big pastime for me. They are my number one pastime. That's one reason, doing this show, 150 episodes. We have 150 episodes where we talked about games at some point. Like, it's a whole podcast talking about games. And whether or not that's old games, new games, man, I'm a lifelong gamer. I'm going to be 70 years old kicking it, in the old home, with my controller, yelling at the orderly to come over here and switch my game for me if I can't get up. And, I hit my button and Mr. Stone, it's not an emergency to switch to disc 2. I'm like, he just killed Harris. I got to go kill him.
Yeah. Same thing with me. I'll probably be, I'm kind of curious where we're going to be with gaming. It might be just streaming only now, probably then, I don't know if physicals are still going to be around that time, but I think streaming is definitely going to be further out from there. And if we do get collector stuff, it'll probably be like a manual sent to our house. That's it. Maybe an art piece. I don't know.
Well, see, and here's the thing is, I actually do have glaucoma, right? I got diagnosed with glaucoma a few years ago. So I do have a degenerative eye disease, which is it's in check, but if left unchecked, I could end up losing my vision, right? So I just have this vision, no pun intended, of a future where they can now put chips in your brain and all the game is just in your brain. And that way, even if I'm completely blind, I can still see the game.
That's Deus Ex stuff right there.
It is. It is. Plug me into the Matrix. I'm ready. You know.
Okay.
But,
All right.
But,
think you. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, man. We're here. We're here on episode 150, and we're here 11 minutes in, and we've just been chit chatting and shooting the shit. But every time I have somebody new on the show, I always ask, what got you into gaming?
Okay. So, I've been thinking about that for a while because we were supposed to do an episode. Well, my co-host, Jerron Williams, he said he wants to do a show about that, what got us into gaming. So I've really been thinking about that. I think what got me into gaming is, besides my brother, because my brother was the first one that had NES and Super Nintendo, and I didn't officially get my own console, the Sega Genesis, until probably about around I think 9 or 10. But regardless, I think what made me a gamer was I was able to enjoy different genre of games. So when I first started, platforming was my thing. I think it was a lot of people's, if you play Mario, platforming is probably your thing.
Mm-hmm.
From Mega Man, Ninja Gaiden, Shadowhand, all that stuff. And then when you dip into, shooter games, RPGs, I realized I became a gamer because I enjoy dipping into those different categories and enjoying them for what they are and the art of each one, from Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger, to your favorite Final Fantasy VII, to my favorite RPG game of all time, Skies of Arcadia. I realized that some of these games and these stories you never will get in movies and other stuff. Like, this is their own category of art, and I love it. And I think that's what made me become a gamer, that I was able to dip into different categories of gaming and enjoy for what they are. And so, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing that really bit me, of course, my first console that I owned was a Super Nintendo. But
okay.
I played NES. I even played a ColecoVision before I ever owned a Super Nintendo. But playing Mario, playing licensed games. That was probably the one thing that I remember. Playing Turtles in Time, playing Batman Returns, playing games like that had already an established thing behind it. I missed out on almost all of the RPGs from that era because it didn't really grab my attention. It didn't have Bugs Bunny on it. It didn't have Batman on it.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. It just took later on for me to attach on, and it was when I got the PS1, and my dad was working with the fella, and this guy was selling off of his PS1 games, and every month or so, every couple of weeks, my dad would come home with three new games that he bought off this dude that he worked with, and that's how I got Triple Play 98 and Andretti Racing and Soviet Strike and Tomb Raider. Well, at one time he showed up with Tomb Raider, Twisted Metal 2, and Final Fantasy 7. And so I had 3 options. I had this weird dude with a sword. I had a very attractive woman with guns, and I had cars with guns. So I played those first. And then, but it wasn't I played the Final Fantasy 7. I'm like, okay, this is like Mario RPG. I remember a buddy of mine playing it. And then I remember, oh, wait. I think they played a Final Fantasy 3, which was 6. I'm like, okay, cool. So they made 4 more. Okay, cool. They're on 7, which was, we didn't know. But I got so far into it and I got hooked. And it was the very first story game that hooked me to where I just, all I could think about was playing that game. What's going to happen next? What's going on here? And that would just be a bug that bit me. Even though I played games for probably about, a good 7 years before I got and played that game, it was that story. It was getting hooked in, because then, of course, I played 7. I played Final Fantasy 8. Metal Gear Solid was I was in a movie playing this game. And I remember getting close to the end where I'm having to do all this stuff with the key card, and you find out that Naomi's the traitor. Spoiler alert. But I was oh my God, I have to beat this game tonight. I'm looking at the clock and it's midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's probably summertime, and my mom is waking up for work going, what are you still doing up? I'm like, I gotta beat the game. I got, he's gonna launch a nuke. She's like, go to bed. I'm like, I will. But
so let me ask you this question. This is a tough question. Okay, as we know, as gamers, especially for the 90s people, because I am so happy that we are in the generation that we saw technology evolve. I mean, we were here when internet got created, right?
Yeah.
So seeing these consoles become an evolution to where we are now graphically. But my question for you, though, personally, is what's that one game in that moment that blew your mind of the game and the graphics and everything around that? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like what year it is. It's just that one game. Like, this is one of the greatest games I have ever seen in my life. And I'll go first. So for me at the time, I thought it was going to be Super Mario World, because I remember going to Walmart and I saw Super Mario World, and I remember like I would not get off that controller, and people were behind me. I was like, I'm not getting off of this thing. This game is amazing. But I think the one for me would have to be Mario 64, because the first time I played that game was the first time I actually played like a game that's like all 3D around.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that like instead of going level to level, you kind of got to pick and choose where you kind of go per se. But I remember when I first saw that, and just how crazy Mario can jump and all this stuff just blew my mind. And I thought like, these are the greatest graphics I ever seen in my freaking life at that moment. And so
it's kind of funny because like stopping to think about it, you know, I could think of later games, you know, like Final Fantasy X, seeing that for the first time, Metal Gear Solid 2, seeing that for the first time, you know. But if I'm gonna go earlier than that, mine's also on the 64, and it was Star Fox 64.
Okay.
You know,
okay,
because it still had the same feel as the on rails, but it was like the world was now alive around you, or at least what it felt like. You know, like there's the you know, this grass and this tree has actual texture. You know, these buildings are like actually blowing up around you. Like you fell into it, man. It felt like it was a living, breathing world.
Yeah, especially like at the very beginning, like when you're flying down, even like if you get near the water, you can see the little line streams. Yeah. It's the little things, I think. And the fact that it built in with you got the rumble pack with it. That was the catch for it. And that's the first time I think, I don't know if the PS1 had it early on or until they got the DualShock 2, I want to say, or the one with the joysticks on it. But I don't know who had the rumble pack first, but 64 was the first time I had the rumble pack experience.
So PlayStation originally launched without DualShock, and it was like it didn't have sticks. Then they had a version that was called the analog controller. It didn't have rumble in it. Then they launched the original DualShock. That was probably around 98. So I want to say they were around the same time. I don't know who did it first, but of course the N64 was an add-on pack to the controller. With PlayStation, they built it right in, because I do remember they came out with Resident Evil 2 in 98, and then they released another version like less than 6 months later called the DualShock version, which had like some extra game modes built in.
And that's not the director's cut, right?
No,
that's just
no, because you had the original Resident Evil 2, and then you had the DualShock version, which had like a survivor mode or something. But
I'm getting confused with the first one. First one had director's cut, not the second one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, right on. Yeah, it's so crazy, you know, how graphically things change. I remember Final Fantasy X. I was like, man, it can't get better than this. Like look at that cutscene.
I know.
Cutscene's amazing.
I know.
Like, and then when someone's at the next gen, they're like, oh, it's gonna be like the cutscenes, but forever. And you know, and it just keeps going further and further up. And I don't know what the big change of the evolution. Maybe it's more of the character designs that are changing more, because the backgrounds to me in games always been just prettier as they go. But I think it's really more of the mocap and the characters that has been changing over the generation that really mattered.
And this next generation leap that we're about to have, it's going to be lighting. It's going to be your HDR, because those are kind of things that I didn't notice as much until I got my 4K TV last year, and playing Red Dead 2, right, on the Xbox One X, straight up 4K resolution with the HDR on, and the haze, the sun haze coming through the trees, like it's damn near photorealistic at times.
Really?
You lose yourself. You can almost say the same thing with the HDR with Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy. They nailed it. The same with God of War. They nailed it. Spider-Man. Oh, I was telling you before we went on air. I've been playing Spider-Man, and that is just, it looks so vibrant and bright, but then the lighting, you're swinging down it's in like the sunset mode, and the light is shining off the cars. You're just like, this is nuts that we have gotten to this point. Because I remember playing, turning on Metal Gear Solid 4 for the first time and thinking that it can't get no better than this.
Yeah. Especially, we thought that, like, man, that PS3 is pushing its hardest. Like, I think this console's about to blow up the way they're pushing this.
I know. And then we got 5.
Right? Actually, I think it's God of War 3 to me. I thought my PS3 was going to blow up because I was like, man, that is a lot of work. I thought I heard my thing, like, you know, like your computer, like breathing really loud when it's pushing its max. So my PS3 was doing that. I'm like, ooh, I need to put it under a refrigerator. I don't know.
Oh, dude.
I don't know.
Like, did you have like a launch era model PS3, or did you have a slim?
I had not the super slim, not the one with the slide in.
Okay, the one after that, yeah.
No,
or the one before it. Yeah.
Before that, yeah. I think that's my favorite one.
Yeah, same here. That's one that I still have, but I had a 60 gig launch era model. Like, I got mine, I think it came out in November of 06.
Okay.
We got ours in July of 07. I remember me and a buddy went in $300 a piece on it because it was $600.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember playing like MGS4 on it. Not even on a high def TV. I still have my old tube. And I thought it looked amazing. And then I remember, hearing my PS3 going, man, this thing's about to take off, dude. It's gonna go right through the roof. That jet engine. What's funny is that my PS4 that I have back here in the game room, and like that I use for my streams, it sounds like a jet engine. And when I use this microphone, I have to be mindful of it because I can't remember what I was streaming. I was trying to do some gameplay of like original Final Fantasy 7 or maybe I was in the PS3 or PS4 version, or maybe it was when I was doing my Last of Us playthrough. This microphone is like a condenser mic, and it really does pick up like a lot of stuff. I have to turn the volume down on it quite a bit. It's very sensitive. But I'm just sitting there and I'm playing and I'm talking along as I'm playing the game, and you just hear the and
oh wow.
And it is just so loud. I remember Mike hopped on and goes, "Wow, jet engine's going powerful today." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." It is.
That is crazy. So, so your 150 episode, how many years has it been now? Have you been doing this show?
We started in April of 2016.
Okay.
Now the show started, it was an exclusive to the Journey into Comics YouTube channel. I was a co-host of the Journey into Comics podcast, and we were trying to come up with some new stuff, and we thought of adding 3 new podcasts exclusive to the YouTube channel. And that's how the show started, once or twice a month. And that's what we did until about December. And then I launched our own feed for Game Addicts podcast, and then we've been rolling on that solo feed ever since. And then we started doing one a week for a while, and every once in a while we scale it back to every other week or whatever, because there's not always a lot of news to talk about.
Okay, so my question for you, and I do this for my show, is as a podcaster, out of all your episodes, what's that one episode that you always enjoy? Like, you think about it all the time. Like, that one episode. Like, you know what? I had a great time with that episode. I love that episode.
Man,
so
there's a couple. So there's a moment in the annals of history. It was the PS1 retrospective. It was still pretty early on. We were early on doing video. We weren't streaming yet. I was hooking up my Zoom podcasting recorder, lining out the audio to my video camera, and I was recording audio and the video, so I would have to edit my audio and edit my video completely separately, and it was a whole process. It would take me like 3 days to get everything done.
Oh wow!
So this is a lot more streamlined because as soon as I hit that record button down there, I'm done, and then I take this same video and I run it through VLC Media Player, convert it to MP3. If I need to do something with it in Audacity, throw it in there for a minute. Put maybe I edit my intro, or maybe I forgot to put the intro, and then I just it's so easy. So so I had the camera going, and I kind of told Mike, I probably didn't give him enough heads up. Hey man, we're gonna be doing a retrospective on the PS1. Try and think of like your top 10 favorite games. Of course, hey, like that's day of. I think I told him day of. So he's kind of sweating, and he's looking at his own collection, which wasn't very big, and he was trying to think of all these games that he's played on the PS1, and he got one mistaken. He thought he played it on the PS1, but he didn't. So right there, live on air, he's like, I got a couple honorable mentions. I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm waiting for it, and he goes, Dead to Rights, and I just do like a deadpan. And he's looking at me like, what? And I'm like, that's not a PS1 game. Yeah, it is. No. So we had to look it up live on air.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's been a running gag. That was a running gag. So, obviously he was a little embarrassed. He's like, man, I swore I played that on PS1. I'm like, no, you probably played that on the PS2. He goes, I didn't have a PS2. I'm like, then you played it on the GameCube or something. Because you didn't play it there. And so fast forward probably about 40 episodes, we did the PS2 retrospective. And I was doing it with my friend Nate, because Mike didn't have a PS2, so he can't speak on it.
Okay,
but Nate did, and one of the games that I chose to talk about was Dead to Rights. But dude, we've had a lot of fun, a lot of different episodes. I put a lot of work into. I've started doing those deep dives that I'm still anxious about every time I go to do it. I'm like, oh my god, how am I going to talk for 40 minutes to an hour about this game? I'm just going to sit here and ramble by myself, because the retrospectives, I'm talking with somebody else, just like I'm talking to you, and we kind of go back and forth about the game or the system. We like systems, are kind of what I did more. System and franchises. I think we did Mario and Final Fantasy. So we talk about the history of the franchise. Some of our, go down the history of it, the sales. All developer, top, like for consoles, top 10 selling games, or just info dumps like that. It's and then some of our favorite games and favorite memories of having that stuff.
Well, if you ever do a Sonic, I'm your man.
All right,
I'm your man.
All right.
Yeah, I can go down that road.
Absolutely,
I can go down that road for a while.
Another really cool highlight. We actually did this on Twitter. This was kind of like one of the more successful things that I had running for a while, where everybody does what's the top gaming console of all time, and then they do votes.
Okay.
So what I decided to do, what is the top gaming controller of all time? That is a much different question, because a lot of people might like a controller but not like the system.
That's true.
And so I think I did. It wasn't 32. It wasn't 32. It was like 28. I think I did 28 because I got so far, and I'm like, oh, I got to put these in there, and I'm like, but I can't do like 4 more to make it 32 because those are just stupid. Like I've already have like I didn't want to put the Atari 5200. Ain't nobody gonna vote for that.
Right.
Nobody's voting for the Atari 5200. So I had the Atari 2600. I had the original Duke Xbox, and then I had I had the regular one. And so like some Sony, like I had a DualShock 1, but I didn't put DualShock 2 because they're the same thing pretty much.
They are.
But I did put DualShock 3 and DualShock 4. We did the 360, Xbox One, even though those are pretty similar, but they're not the same controller. Wii U Pro Controller. And what I did is I went through and made a bracket. So a couple of them had some buys, because of the weird number that I did, and we just posted them on Twitter. Round 1 votes, and had a Twitter vote on it, a Facebook vote on it, and we added all the tallies. Me and Mike each had a vote, and then for each episode, we led up to it for like 4 weeks or whatever. What is the greatest game controller of all time? And I'm pretty sure that the PS4 controller won.
Really?
Okay. I was surprised. The one controller that did better than I thought was the Wii U Pro Controller.
Huh? Because I honestly think the 360 was a pretty damn good controller. I would think that'd be number 1 because I love the Dreamcast controller. And the only thing it was missing was another joystick, and then it's complete because they're the one that introduced the back buttons, the relaxing buttons in the back, and that's what gave it all up. So I think 360's up there definitely.
If I remember, because now I'm like questioning myself about what actually, because I want to say PS4 one, because this has been a long time ago now, especially with everything that's going on that's like making my brain not work right. But like we did that, it's somewhere in the 90s.
I will say this though, because of Nintendo Switch, for me personally, it's in my top 3 favorite Nintendo consoles of all time. For me personally,
I love the Switch. The Switch, it has become probably, man, I don't know if I put top 5. It might be close. Like
you wouldn't put the Switch is not in your top 5?
It might be. I don't know.
I mean, with Nintendo, Super Nintendo, you know, 64 was great, but 64 is something I'll probably never go back to because of that. So it's definitely not there. Virtual Boy, well, you know, whatever. Yeah, GameCube, you got GameCube. But I don't know if we're counting the handhelds. Are we going to count the handhelds?
No. Just for console.
Okay.
Okay. Man. Well, because like I'm a Sony pony, so I'm thinking like, man, PS1 and PS2 are like they're my thing. You know, I love the 360 as well. Super Nintendo, that's soft spot right here. I could go back and play any of those games anytime. But Switch, if Super Nintendo is my nostalgic pick for saying, if I just say that one's my favorite Nintendo system, that's it. But Switch is probably the best Nintendo console they've come out with.
Right.
Like,
because you can feel the whole generation behind that console.
Well, because like they carry forward with it all of the motion stuff they have with the Joy-Cons, like all the stuff they did with the Wii and the Wii U with that. Okay, like in a way, the Switch feels like an evolved version. If Wii and Wii U did a fusion dance, now you get the Switch where you have like your tablet, you have your motion controls in there, but it also because of how they do it with the controls. Just like with the gamepad, it allows you to do everything that you did before on it as well. So as you said, it carries all the generations into it from before, as well as it makes it competitive and into the market for today. Whereas like I always said that part of what made GameCube maybe a little bit lesser, not only was the disc size, but the controller, while it was comfortable, was lacking just a few buttons to where you had to, if you played Need for Speed on that one, but then played it on the PS2, like there's no select button, so like you're pressing pause and A and pause. And I remember Metal Gear Solid on there.
I forgot about that.
Like press, if you want to pause the game, press start and B. If you want to use the codec, press start and A. And I'm just like, this is silly.
That's the one thing about Nintendo back in the day, from the GameCube to the Wii U, was Nintendo, when they make a console, they're really good at making the console that fit for them, but very difficult for third parties. And that's why a lot of people stick with first parties. And they do the best on those consoles because they know how to build around that because they created it. But having a third party go and try to do the GameCube controller, that, you know, the buttons are based around part of your thumb, per se, is really challenging because it's like, well, we have this idea, but now we have to work all the way around to make this work instead of we can't just pick it up and drop it. I mean, that's me being lazy on the development term, but you know, it's always been that challenge from GameCube, Wii, to, you know, Wii U, especially like with shooter games like Call of Duty. That's the reason why they skip those, because it's like we don't want to work that hard trying to make this work.
Yeah,
you should make it easy for us to make it work on there. Now we have to move stuff around, you know, and so I'm glad that this is easier for developers to come through, and it's paying off. That, and they need more virtual console stuff on there, and the themes. I don't know why. I am such a petty person. I just want themes. I don't even care. It's a snapshot, and I can post that in my background because I'm tired of the black and the white. I just want my own theme. That's all I want. And that's been perfect for me.
Well, and the thing is, the thing is that it that kind of stuff, the theme stuff, dude. I remember like wasting so much money on the PS3. I have so many themes on the PS3. You know, not even all of them are gaming related.
Right.
You know, some of them are like, I had this weird looking skull with blood looking like fluid flowing into it, and his mouth animated. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm buying that thing for $3 or whatever.
Now, I don't know if you knew this, but there was a thing where the internet, the community, made a website where people make custom themes, and you can put that on a USB and connect it to your PS3, and you go to your photos, and you can click that, and you can make that your background too. And so I thought that was awesome, and it saved a lot of money, and people did a lot of cool ideas. Like there was a lot of themes and stuff. I did a couple of those. I was a big Sonic person. I did an awesome Sonic background, and so
I did find the greatest controller of all time bracket on my Twitters.
Okay.
And I had to scroll back all the way back to September of 2018 is when we did the fight. Yeah, dude, it's been a while.
Oh my goodness.
So, the GameCube controller versus the Super Nintendo controller was in a round one.
Mm-hmm.
Switch Joy-Cons versus DualShock 3. DualShock 3 beat them.
Okay.
You know, the Sega Saturn controller versus the N64 controller.
God, I can't imagine the Sega Saturn controller. I'm trying to imagine it. I feel like it's a lot smaller than I think it is.
Well, it's very similar to the 6-button Genesis controller, but it's a little wider and more hand conforming, and it has like a shoulder button on each side.
Does it feel better than the PS1 to you?
Than the PS1, I think it feels more natural than the regular PS1. But like the thing is that I can't decide whether or not the DualShock controller is actually comfortable or if I'm just used to it.
Okay. I remember the biggest struggle is the size of your hands with those things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what the problem was with the regular Xbox controller, because it was just too bulky. People couldn't wrap their hands around it, so they had to redo it. Because you remember the Bill Gates commercial? Yeah. The new, it's the size of a burger. Yeah, that was weird. I don't know.
Okay, so the 360 controller did make it to the semifinals.
Okay, cool. It deserves to be up there.
And it lost to the NES controller.
I am so sorry that nostalgia beat him, because that's the only reason why I won, because it's nostalgia.
Yep. So it was the PS4 DualShock 4 versus the NES controller.
Okay.
In the finals, and the PS4 controller won it. Had it been the 360 versus PS4 controller, I'm thinking maybe it would have been a different outcome.
Now, what did you want it to win?
See, what was cool about this is that for the most part, we had all of these controllers on hand. I think the only controllers that we didn't have on hand to actually hold and be able to feel for ourselves were the Duke, the Atari 2600, because we didn't have that. Mm-hmm. I did put the TurboGrafx on here. It didn't win because it lost to 360. Mm-hmm. But like all the other ones, we had those on, so we actually got to touch and feel, and we were very surprised with how much we liked the Switch Pro controller.
Okay.
You know, we were both thought like, man, if you made these trigger buttons triggers instead of just buttons, this damn controller it'd be up there with like, man, this could probably contend, with the 360. I love the 360 controller, and I actually do like the ergonomics of the DualShock 4 because it fixed what my problem was with the original design of the DualShock. And like it rests very comfortably in my hands, like my thumb, everything is like it feels right, because that's what the one thing about like the Xbox 360 and Xbox One controller is that when I hold it, it's the placement of like the thumb. It's like, where does it have to stretch? And when you're doing this, sometimes it feels weird. But with the DualShock 4, it made it to where this motion with your thumb felt pretty much almost like it was in rest position instead of.
And so it's slightly a little bigger, right?
Yeah,
so like the PS4. Yeah, that really helped out. So your whole thumb could definitely like fit on there.
Yeah, so like it was more in a rest position and not like I'm reaching my thumb down, and so you're then pulling on like a tendon the whole time when you're trying to play.
Now, how come the Wii U didn't make it on there, man? I thought the Wii U controller was pretty good. No, I'm joking. It's like,
well, see, all right. So the Wii U gamepad, it did get a bye, and it did lose to the 360 controller. The Wii U Pro controller, it beat the Atari 2600.
Okay.
And then it beat the Saturn 3D controller. But then it also fell to that monster of the Xbox 360 controller. We were both expecting the 360 controller to just take it, because I was looking at like, TurboGrafx 16. Ain't nobody around here played TurboGrafx 16, so like it's gonna beat that. It's gonna beat the Wii U gamepad. It's gonna beat the Wii U Pro. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, NES, like it's gonna beat the NES. And just like you said, it was nostalgia that propelled the NES controller to do it. And doing this kind of thing, it was kind of cool. It was more work because I actually had to put the bracket together. I tried to space out, You know, I tried to get controllers that I know people have played, mixed with a few wild cards like the TurboGrafx. I'm like, that's not very popular, but I'm gonna throw it in there just to fill up a spot. And you know, and I put the Wii U, or not the Wii. I'm sorry, I put the Wiimote, and you're gonna be mad about this. I just saw who the Wiimote beat, and it was a Sega Dreamcast controller.
Oh man, that's so sad to hear. That's so sad to hear. Well, I guess like the Wii, it's easier to pick up and play. I think that was the main goal of the Wii. Was just easy to pick up and play. Especially like I prefer playing Metroid Prime with the Wii remote than the GameCube controller now.
Really?
And so,
really?
Oh yeah.
That's funny because I remember Mike saying that Mike gets very motion sickness. He gets a lot of motion sickness. And so for him, he's like just trying to move stuff around. It wasn't very, very easy for him. But he suffered through Metroid Prime 3, and I still am giving him so much shit for the fact that Metroid Prime 4 has been announced, and there has been nothing. There ain't nothing being announced for this game.
I know, it hurts me. It hurts me a lot because Metroid Prime is my favorite Metroid out of all of them. Just the first one. But yeah, I like it playing with the Wiimote more. But yeah, man, I hope they take your time with 4. Just take your time. No one's in a rush. Metroid has never been one of the biggest flagships. It's just been more of a cult following.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And I honestly wish Other M got a redemption because Other M deserves a little bit more attention. It was just not meant to be for the Wii. I wish I got ported to the Switch and they found a way to fix some things because that game is really good when you're not in first person. And so,
yeah, Other M it's almost kind of a black sheep because like and in a way, the way that it was received, almost that mixed with what was that 3DS one, Federation Forces?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Is it you said 3DS? Yeah, it was 3DS.
3DS, yeah. But
yeah.
It was like it's kind of tarnished the name of a little bit, like of the Metroid series. I heard that they're going to be possibly doing a port of the trilogy to the Switch, which it needs. It needs a remaster because it's been so long that for you to release a Prime 4, you need to have the original Prime 1, 2, and 3 on there.
Money at the screen all day.
Yeah, dude. There ain't nobody who's going to buy 4 that won't buy the trilogy.
Right. And if they even put the icing on the cake of having the Game Boy Advance one somehow become up there, we're talking about Fusion. We're talking about the remake of the first one.
Zero Mission, yeah.
Man, Zero Mission is amazing. I can never go back to the NES one.
Oh, no. Same.
Yeah.
And like playing that, because I mean, like those two games, Fusion and Zero Mission, those are pretty much like the same engine as Super Metroid for the but better because they're a few years after the Super Metroid game that they were able to, like the Game Boy Advance is a 16 bit handheld, like they already made Super Metroid, so they knew how to better make a 16-bit Metroid.
Yes,
going into
exactly.
those. So it's like you got Super Metroid, Fusion, and Zero Mission. Those are like those are solid games.
I need to play the second one, the remake of the second one on the 3DS. I haven't touched that one yet.
Oh yeah. Mike played that and he loved it.
Awesome.
He was he was all about that.
It's funny because it is made by Mercury Stream, the people that did Castlevania, the new ones. And it's funny because they did this one. They're officially a Metroidvania studio. So that's hilarious. So good for them. Good for them.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for joining me here today and having a little chat here on the Game Addicts Podcast, episode 150. Jeremy, tell the great people out there where they can find you in your great podcast network.
Well, as you know, I run a network called the In-Game Boss Program, a network of gaming other variety shows. So we have a ton of shows all in one place. So you just go to In-Game Boss Program. All our shows are there. We have just so many variety of shows. And the goal is to find what you like and then try the rest of them. That's our main goal of it all. But remember, we are on Facebook and Twitter. Just type in the In-Game Boss Program. And that's where, if you have a hard time finding our shows, that's the place to go. We have links to all of them, even our description and everything like that, including our collaboration show, the World Gaming Trade Show. That's also all part of that and everything. We are on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on CastBox. We're on mostly every listening station you can think of. And, we just love hearing your support, your concerns. Our goal as a main show, the In-Game Boss Podcast, is not only to challenge us, but challenge you with fun topics. We do new stuff, but we want to do what gamers do. We just like talk about games and different challenging about games. Our recent episode we had was James Bond coming back. What do we want the new James Bond to be? It's been 8 years. What are we doing? And then by the time you listen to this, we'll have a Team Ninja Turtle special episode, our celebrating the 30-year anniversary of the TMNT 1990s. And what do we like to see the next Turtle game? So we just like coming with different varieties and having fun with that. And on top of that, we have a movie podcast, and we have even more. And we're on YouTube. We have 2 different shows on there, an arcade show and a fun buddy up co-op game show. So definitely check all this stuff. But Mike, thank you so much for inviting me to your 150th episode. That's an honor to be part of someone's, celebration, man. This is amazing.
Hey,
Getting
man.
100 is a big accomplishment, but 150 and still going, 200 is right around the corner.
It is, man. It is, and it's funny because I was part of the other Journey to Comics podcast as we hit those milestones. 100 was our very first live episode we did in front of people. We were at a small con that
Awesome.
that we volunteered for, and we just hit the stage and nobody knew who we were, and we were sitting there and there were 2 people sitting in front of us, and by the end of it there was a whole bunch of people, and it was just really crazy. And then we did another live thing and we did a bunch of stuff there. Game Addicts, we did, we've gone through the same motions of going through some cool stuff. We haven't done a live one yet. It might be coming down the line. But dude, no, thank you so much for being on here. It is such an honor to have, a lot of my favorite fellas and friends in the podcasting world that I've collaborated with and done stuff with and still do stuff with, to come on the show and just chit chat a little bit and and celebrate each other's, podcasts and projects. And also, guys, if you didn't know, if you go to mygameaddictspodcast.com, if you're on your phone, you scroll all the way down to that bottom. I know scrolling down all the way down to that bottom can be a task. You guys aren't normally scrolling down there, but at the very bottom of that is a link to this fella's Podbean, where you can find all that stuff. And if you're on the computer, it's just on your right. It's big. It's a big logo, EGB.
Which I thank you so much for that. Thank you so much.
Well, dude, man, you know what? I was thinking of trying to do something kind of spice up my, my page and everything. And I'm like, you know what? Let me see if I could do something. Put some links to some of my, shows that I'm, been affiliated with. And I'm like, I wonder if I could do images. And hot dog, I can. And so it looks even
You have
better.
to show me that so I can do that for you.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. And please, guys, go check out all of his great stuff, including our show, which the first episode has been on this channel as well, the World Gaming Trade Show, where all we do is we take a couple games that haven't been around for a while. Either, they've been forgotten about or the license has run out or they just said, well, this game doesn't make any money anymore. We're not doing that. And we decide how that game should be done in the modern time and what developer do we think should be up to the task.
It's a real fun show, and it's a really good challenge for Brendan and I because, we put out our game, and then we go back, and after a month, we come back and talk about what do we got up our sleeves, and then we record it because this is a once-a-month show.
Yeah.
And so it's just fun. It's fun to be surprised. Like, I think that's the best part about the show because you're wondering what's up my sleeve, and I want to know what's up your sleeve, and we surprise each other like, oh, I didn't think that would work. That's a good idea. So... And I hope that works out for gamers. And I hope to hear some people reply back of like, oh, I would like this studio to do it. Because I would love to hear everybody's input. Maybe there's something there I missed.
Exactly. Or spoiler alert for an episode to come. You and me were on the exact same page almost.
Yeah.
Of where we should go with it. And I'm like, that's cool. That you and me, we don't get to talk very much. We do we do that show. We text back and forth every once in a while. We're so far apart, we don't get to hang out. We don't really get to be on the same vibe. But there we were, just by saying this is the game we're doing, and we both picked the exact same developer.
Yeah, it shows how much we are all so much into gaming and developers that we can automatically know like. These people can do this. We know they can. And that's where the link up comes in. Now, the cool part about that was even though we have the same answer, we still have different visions of it. And that's where it gets more interesting. And so
absolutely. Well, thanks again for coming on to the show. I can't wait to link up with you again and do another episode of the World Gaming Trade Show. And we'll have to have you back on here sometime in the future. Maybe we will dust off that old Sonic the Hedgehog retrospective and see what's up the sleeve or up the sneaker for that episode. Anyway, thanks for coming on, man.
All right, thank you.
And I'm back. I told you that was a long one. Yeah, that was actually, it was really neat sitting, getting to sit there and talk with Jeremy just like that, because typically when we're doing our show together, like we mentioned, the World Gaming Trade Show, it's mostly strictly based on, topical, like what we're doing. And that conversation was like the very first time that me and him have really got to sit down and just have a at length conversation, just shooting the breeze as well. After I stopped record on that, we kept talking for like another hour almost. Like we were just, sitting back, chilling it. And like we got so much in common. But, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I know this is running long. We've got one more special guest lined up. But, before we go any further, I want to, tip my hat off to everybody who's been on the show already. Blaine, Tyler, Nate, Jeremy, thank you guys so much for coming on here and, chatting with me. And thanks to all of you guys at home as well, downloading the show, checking out the show, sharing it, liking us on Twitter, sharing the posts on Twitter. That really means a lot, guys. I mean, the fact is that I'm just a dude who sits in my game room who gets to talk about games. I mean, like, and nowadays, especially when you put, your gaming podcasts out there, and there's a plethora of gaming podcasts out there full of guys that have been in the industry or worked for journalism in the industry. They've got connections. I'm just a dude in the Midwest that likes games, likes to collect games, talk about games, and play games. So by all means, like, thank you guys. Like, every single download, it means so much to me to know that somebody out there, is digging the show, and I hope you guys continue to dig it. We are, I mentioned, a Sonic the Hedgehog retrospective maybe. There's one that we haven't done yet that I really want to do, and that's the original Xbox. With no better time around the corner, we worked our way down the PlayStations, PS1, 2, and 3. We've done the PSP. We've done kind of the Vita. We did an episode that was kind of the retrospective, but more like let's get this opportunity to talk about it. We haven't done a full retrospective on it because I don't have a full robust collection for it. I've got some games, but we've done the Super Nintendo, we've done regular Nintendo, Game Boy, we've done 64, we've done GameCube, we've done Wii and Wii U. As far as consoles, I know we haven't done a Sega Genesis one, we haven't done a Dreamcast one, but OG Xbox. That's the next one I want to tackle. So, spoiler alert for Brando. We're doing the OG Xbox retrospective in the very, very near future. But here it is. The very last segment of the show is my my conversation with this podcast player too, Mike Norris. And we are here, finally, with the last guy that's going to be on episode 150. Could only think of one guy. The incomparable, one and only, Mike Norris. Welcome back to the show, bud.
Oh, hi. You're talking about me. Okay.
Yeah, you, man. How you been?
I'm here.
Yeah, you know what?
Quarantine.
Yeah, so I've been recording these guest spots for 150 over the last 2 weeks or so. And the amount of things that have changed in 2 weeks is remarkable. Because right now, this episode's airing this week, so it's going to be pretty current. But for right now, starting on Wednesday, our state's under stay-at-home orders, which a lot of other states are now under. Things have changed so much that when I first started doing this episode, it was going to be like, hey, man, let's talk about some, like what's going on here, what's going on over there. What's going on in the news right now wasn't anywhere near what it is now.
It wasn't in the U.S. No. It's been pretty big over in the European states. I would be about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Like
Italy.
2 weeks ago. Italy was just starting to get hit. And now it's this global pandemic.
Did you ever think that we'd see something like this in our lifetime? Like this?
Not to this scale. I mean, we knew something was going to happen, but I mean, this is a reality check for the world, not just the governments or the people, or it's a straight up human reality check all across the board.
There are invisible boogeymen that at any
I'm
time,
going to look up some numbers while you're talking.
go for it, that at any time can mutate, crossover, crossbreed, if you will, like it has, and quite literally shake up our entire world. We've had issues with some stuff over the decades, smaller stuff, but nothing quite on this level. Nothing has made us stop quite like this on a massive scale. And once we talk about this for a few minutes, we don't need to talk about this the whole time, because obviously people aren't tuning into a podcast about video games to be sitting there and just reminded of what's going on. But it's important because this kind of stuff impacts us all. Every single person who's listening to this podcast, watching this podcast, who's ever enjoyed video games or anything else, or ever enjoyed any of our content, this affects everybody. So it's almost remiss not to just mention it.
Yeah. So currently, closed cases. So that means people that have recovered, been discharged, or died, is 117,686. Out of those people, 16,313 have died.
Yeah. That's
worldwide. Now, there are still 254,886 active cases. You're talking total cases, 372,000. Now, you really think about the numbers of the human race, like as a whole, and we've still got 3 more months to go.
Yeah,
and it's doubling almost every day, every 2 days. The cases are just.
That's why it's very important to listen to these orders, to stay home. A lot of us, me and Mike included, are not unaware, or even, we're not all too confident what's going to happen after this. We don't know. We don't know how our jobs are going to be, how our money situations are going to be, how our house situations are going to be.
There has been some stuff that have been put out today that helps us out. We can't lose our electricity. You can't lose your house. You can't lose your car. These are things that I believe it's nice to have, but they're essential. And the way that they're kind of doing this number over your head, like, we're doing this for you. It's like, so we're going to be effectively, for us, we're going to basically be out of work for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well,
that's what it looks like.
Our state is on stay at home until April 7th. We were going to be off this week anyway. We are recording this segment on Monday. All of this week from 23rd. We were supposed to go back on the 30th of March. That's not happening. There's no way it's happening. So 2 weeks off with 1 day. And then we'll see. That's all we can do. This stuff is changing so often, so fast, with the numbers growing. Because, as I was saying, it's so important to do your part and not be, our governor said it is up to our responsibility to be a part of the solution and not part of the problem. And I actually agree with that. Now is not the time when you got people in office, in charge, in power, to sit there and argue semantics with politics. It's not about that. This is about people. And and everything that our governor has done, and many other governors as well, and things that they've enacted, has been good, because it's for the benefit of the people, no matter who you are, where you're from. So if you guys are listening to this, we hope that this podcast finds you well.
Right.
We wish nothing but the best health, best positive energy going after everybody. Let's remember that we're all in this together, every single one of us.
But for us gamers, this ain't a bad time, because you get to catch up on your backlog.
Yeah.
You get to spend time with your family and game, because we all know if you have children, you have to choose. No one wants to choose. Yeah. 2 things that they love. Obviously, they love their children, so that's their number one choice. But now you get to spend half the day with your kid, half the day by yourself, alone, decompressing on something you enjoy. So for us gamers, this isn't that bad as long as you're not sick. As long as you're not sick, it's not bad. So stay healthy, keep gaming.
I have been working on a pseudo second playthrough of Spider-Man for about 5 or 6 months. Only turning on and playing a mission or two when my son Wyatt wants to play. And basically all he does is run around and get himself in trouble. And then I got to take over for a little bit. And then I got to beat up the bad guys. He's actually pretty good at mashing square and beating people up when there's not too many people.
Right.
He actually had a group of guys, and it was because, you know, Spider-Man does that thing where you have the guys with the pipe. You got the big muscly dudes. But he just came across a couple of dudes with some guns, and he beat them all up. So, you know, that's cool. But I did buy the I think it was around Black Friday. I bought the expansion, or maybe it was like over shutdown. The season pass that has the Black Cat DLC, the Gang War or Gang Territory DLC, and then the Silver Sable DLC. So the whole point of me sitting down for a little bit, playing some of this, is to, number one, replay the story, because I only ever played through it once, and it's a fun story. But I'm not doing 100% of everything. I'm not getting all these stupid stuff and catching pigeons, and I don't need to do that crap.
Fucking pigeons.
I'm also this is technically a new game plus, so I've got all my moves, I got all that stuff. So you know, this is just for fun. I'm going through the missions. I just did a thing last night where it was the award ceremony with Miles' dad. So I just did that last night. And then I'm looking forward to actually playing through the DLC, which I never got to play through when that came out anyways. So there's that. On the docket, of course, I did play the 2 demos that are out now. One of them, both of them, I don't think you've played any of them. Because you told me you didn't play one of them. The FF7 demo remake. Mike, lay it on me, man.
Haven't touched it.
You won't touch it?
No. I have not touched it yet. It's coming to that point where I've been walking by it and I'll stop and I'll look and I'll be like, it's hard for me to play it now because I have a lot of time to myself, a lot of time to fester. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, just get antsy. So I don't want to play something where I'm going to be like, I need more.
Trust me,
like now I need more.
You will feel that way after you beat it. And thankfully, it's not too far away. That game is still going ahead with release, even with the pandemic. On
if
April
Amazon
10th.
will deliver it to us.
Well, as of right now, I got an email update. Literally, I think it was the last day that we were working on Friday. I got on my orders because they took it off, but they put it back on. Arriving April 10th. Also, as of right now, arriving April 3rd is Resident Evil 3. And I played the demo for that, my friend.
What do you think of the demo? I watched the demo playthrough.
I like it because it's more. It's more of RE2 from the new remake, right? But it's more. And you know what's funny? I played through it, and then I watched a guy that I watch on YouTube. I watched his playthrough of it. And it took him like twice as long to beat it. And that's because I missed like 3 areas that you could go into completely. I didn't go that way. And I went another way.
You went through the diner.
I went through the diner but I missed the pharmacy. I missed the room with the safe and that whole area up there.
Oh yeah.
You know, I missed that entirely. And that's because and I went through it. I found out where I needed to go. It was that alleyway with the fire hose. And I'm like, I found a fire hose and I got the stuff, and I'm limited on space because they're trying to give me shotgun and shotgun shells, and I want the shotgun and shotgun shells. And then once you get that hose, it locks you in to the next segment.
Yeah.
Because now Nemesis is on your ass.
He's on your ass the whole time.
Well, in the demo, you can actually, like, as I said, I watched this guy play it for nearly an hour, and he only had to deal with Nemesis. He actually died to Nemesis once. I didn't die to Nemesis. He hurt me. I threw a grenade and stopped him, and then ran to where I needed to go, and then the demo was over.
And then you're like, shit.
Yeah, so like I have actually
Is
contemplated.
it a one stop?
No, you can play through it, and then there's no timer either. You can play through
no
it
one shot.
Nope, you can play through it again and again, and I haven't done so yet, but I want to because I missed some stuff. There's also some cool Easter eggs. There's movie posters and event posters for the big great debate about robots taking over, and it's fucking Dr. Wily and Dr. Light. There's movie posters for all kinds of stuff, Capcom related, Mega Man toys, and like at the toy shop, and it's just there was Ghouls and Ghosts Easter egg. There was so many Capcom related stuff. And I will say, I really enjoy my time with it. It feels like, just in summary, what we've already experienced. Most of the stuff in this demo was a whole new area, whole new scenario, with enough sprinkled in of things that you remember, like the alleyway with the garden hose or with the fire hose. You remember that from the original game. That's there. But there's just everything else was almost completely unique and brand new. So on that standpoint, I can't complain because I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it.
You're getting more of what you already liked.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And the game is supposed to come out here in about a week. And if we're still on lockdown, quarantine, stay-at-home order, I'm definitely going to exercise my time to go play that. Same thing going with FF7 Remake. We don't know. It will be available digitally. So worst case scenario, if they come around and say you're not getting your game copy anytime soon, I'll figure something out.
I'm already mad. Also, I haven't paid for it all.
Okay, so with you, I tried to look up the news story because this actually affects you. Because during this whole quarantine lockdown of everything, almost everything except for essential stuff, there's a lot of people who are still working, a lot of people who are still doing work like contractors, and our buddy Tyler is still out there working, doing electrician work. Those guys still have to work, and we wish them the best. And also, let's take a second and just throw it out there and give thanks and appreciation to everybody who works at grocery stores, everybody who works at restaurants that are still providing for people. During
we
this,
appreciate it,
dude. Absolutely.
Be safe.
Yes.
Safety. Because we have no idea what the effects of this is going to do. Mm-hmm. We want you to be safe.
Absolutely. But GameStop, California was one of the first entire states that were like, we are shutting the doors.
Shut down.
Essentially, it's the same kind of deal. You could still go out and grocery shop. You could still go on a walk, go on a run. There's nothing against that. Don't congregate. You can still go to the drive-thru and get curbside pickup from a lot of restaurants that are still doing that kind of stuff. But GameStop was trying to keep its stores open by arguing that they were still essential sales.
It's upsetting that they would want to keep their stores open during this time, but also I get the other side of that because most people are locked in at home. Mm-hmm. Unless you're a Fortniter or now a call it Warzone guy or a Apex. You're not playing anything for free.
So basically this came off the GameStop will be closing their doors, at least nationwide now. And that's because there was blowback because GameStop's was arguing that they were going to keep their doors open during the lockdown, and they consider themselves essential retail. Meanwhile, they were combating against local law enforcement they were saying you need to shut down. GameStop was trying to say no, we're not going to do it, and we're going to force our employees to show up.
See, that's the shitty side of that.
Yes, and the other part of it is that they were also forcing employees to buy their own cleaning supplies for their stores due to low stock.
Wow.
Yeah.
God
Do you
damn.
do you remember when we used to call this thing call them the Devil's Playground?
I believe that we were correct, sir.
Yes. So apparently a lot of the stores are going to go ahead and just shutter their doors. The ones that are open, you still will be able to go pick up games, curbside pickup somehow.
Do they have a list? That's what I was looking for. The list of the GameStops that are going to be available. I assume mine is not one of them.
You know what? I have not seen a list at all. Now, this is a quote from GameStop CEO. This is an unprecedented time, and each day brings new information about COVID-19 pandemic. Our priority has been and continues to be on the well-being of our employees, customers, and business partners. Okay. We have been steadfast in our adherence to CDC guidelines on safety and local government orders for retailers for each of our communities, as millions of Americans look to GameStop to adjust to their new normal and increased to their new normal of increased time at home for work, learning, and play. We have implemented practices to help ensure the safety and health of our employees, customers, and partners. We believe it's prudent to institute further safety protocols while meeting this increased demand through curbside pickup. As such, stores that remain in operation will only provide only pickup at door or delivery at home activities to further protect our employees and customers. And as of this moment, this was like 2 days ago now that this article was published. It's unclear how long this policy will be implemented and where. We don't know yet.
So I have different stuff. I have, starting with, that was the original story.
Yeah.
So, let's do update of 3/19. So, California closing, that was in what you had. California has officially closed all theirs down 2020 or 3/20/2020. But the next one is the important one, and 3/21/2020. So that was 2 days ago. They will be closing all stores, curbside pickup, like you said. But the company has pledged to pay employees affected by the closure for an additional 2 weeks and provide employee benefits contributions for a month. So that's good. But it also states after their outrage.
Yes. After people lost their shit.
Because I get both sides. Like, I definitely don't want to side with the devil because it's really shitty. But, I mean, you can get your games anywhere.
Yeah. Now you pre-ordered.
If it was me, I would do delivery.
Yeah. Now you pre-ordered FF7 Remake through the Devil's Playground.
Only because at that current time, I was going to get it one day before anyone else. That's why I was buying it there.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going with the Amazon.
Are you?
Well, who else is going to deliver it to me?
Well, I do hope that, things continue.
I'm not going to buy it through the Square store because it'll be 2 weeks.
Yeah, no kidding. So, yeah, like with the whole GameStop thing, I don't necessarily think that they are essential right now. If they should have never have tried to be.
Agreed.
They should have done what they're doing now, online sales, and call ahead because they could come out with a iPad with a little square card reader, and take your orders. And it's like, hey, I'm here to pick up FF7 Remake. Dude,
I don't think it should be that way. I think that if they're going to do it, it should be order and pay online. we'll have your game ready at the store.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
X amount of days.
Sure.
I wouldn't do any other reaction other than picking it up, handing it to the person, handing them an alcohol wipe, and saying, "Have a nice day." You know what I mean? Like,
well, they may not want to hand away the alcohol wipes because some of these stores have had to buy their own. You know.
I know.
I mean that was kind of ridiculous. But the unfortunate matter, like we talked about earlier on in the podcast, we talked about how this could adversely affect our economy. You know, not to mention yours and my job. We don't know. We both assume that at some point we're going to go back to work and at some point we're going to be okay. You know, we assume.
Well, you saw the parking lot, right? You don't go that way.
No, I don't go.
So when you go over the bridge and you look to the right, like heading to my house.
Yeah.
There is not an empty parking spot in our holding lot. Okay, our holding lot is absolutely like
it's massive.
Yeah, like stadium parking,
Yeah.
massive. 100,000 parking spots or something ridiculous.
It's crazy how many I have out
huge.
there.
It's full, absolutely full. No empty spots. Yesterday when we went home, or Friday when we went home at 1, it was packed.
Yeah, they've got enough backlog to ship.
Can you hear him?
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, now.
Good old Pab Foot.
Somebody's dropping off her charger for her computer because I'm going to pull her into Arc.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you've been playing Ark, haven't you?
I like it. It's a builder. I've been looking for a builder.
There you go.
And it's fun. I like that. I like it a lot. That's pretty much what I've been playing.
I've only been playing that Spider-Man. I was playing Red Dead Redemption 1 with cheats, just going through and real fast trying to play through the story, but I keep getting pulled out of it. It's not that I don't like it. It's just I've kind of Red Deaded myself out with playing the second one for so long that I replaying it, and
Right.
I do plan on finishing it if I can get it done. If these new games ship, and I hope that they do. But guys, with this, as I was talking about with the whole how this can economically affect us, you and me, and our jobs, and much other people and people who are already out of work and laid off right now that can't work. There is some conjecture that there's going to be some companies that cannot recover from this.
I am worried about Subaru because imagine we make up 3%. 3 or I think maybe like 4 or 5 now of the entire sales market.
Yeah.
For cars. If people aren't buying cars, that's really why they shut us down this week.
Yeah.
It's because nobody's buying any cars. And now they're mandating another 2 weeks. And then this is supposed to, the experts, so I always use quotations because I personally don't know. I'm just quoting what they're saying. This could go to August.
Yeah.
I hope that either it happens, people get to stay home, spend time with their family, get some stuff done. But also I hope that the government is able to help and step up and help out. I say us because it could very well be me and you here shortly. They need help.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was also talking about how hard GameStop's had it to be in general. They're trying to save the company.
But that shit moves like that. That's hurting them.
Exactly. I would not be surprised if this shit lasts all the way until the summer, like we're saying. This could damage GameStop irreparably, and they may not. This could be the final nail in the coffin for GameStop.
Question is, who's going to step up and take that regime that they have built?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people exclusively use GameStop.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a void that, you've got your Walmarts and stuff like that, but it's not the same.
Not when you have a system incentivized into having a membership, getting points, trading in games.
I feel like that would be a really good time to step up and be like, hey, I want to start a game store. because we know a spot that's going to be open.
Yeah, we do.
2 of them.
Oh, I did see that, and this is before, I want to say they made the announcement, but before the announcement was made today from the governor, but Disc Replay's closing for a couple weeks and looking for ways to still be able to provide a service for people that can't, that obviously can't be open as a store. So it's interesting. It's this kind of thing that challenges us and challenges people,
This also could potentially be a very large gateway into closing down a lot of retail stores, because what are retail stores right now? I tell you what would be great is if you're an online web page designer that could design a process, basically designed for Disc Replay. Hey, look, you can now sell your stuff online. You just put your stock in, and then they come and pick up that at the side of the door.
Yep.
I feel like this is going to be a bigger thing, and for collectors, as we are, we like to hunt. We like to go out. We like to find stuff. That's not going to happen anymore whenever somebody's got it on their wish list.
Yeah.
And it pops up on their bloop, 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 bloop. Bye.
It's going to change how we function as a society, because we have the technology right here in our hands, but there's a lot of dams, maybe I should say, like kind of like a water dam, things holding back the full on digitalization of our society. Whether or not that's full, like movies are already there, games are on the way. But even like even digitalizing our retail experience, Amazon's already kind of done that. But like, imagine having actual local brick and mortar stores, having every single one of them's got something like that, just like you said.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have them. They have to. What are you gonna do? I mean, what if this happens for 2-3 months? Like, these places are gonna close down. I mean, the bill that they're proposing is not gonna save them. It's not enough.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do? Like, they have to come up with something, and it's gonna force a lot more online interaction.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know what? We're just kind of rehashing it now, but you know what? We just hope. That's all we can do is have hope that things. They're saying that this week is going to be the worst week for us in the States. This is going to be the absolute worst week that we can live through our lives, and that's why all these places are saying stay home, don't go anywhere if you don't need to, stay home. And thankfully, thankfully in our local area that we live in, it's not too crazy as far as like people who are infected, but we don't know because we also don't have the kind of testing needed. There are tests being done in the state of Indiana that we're in. Almost 2,000 tests have been done, but
they're not. The problem is that there's just not enough tests to go around. I mean, these tests, the new tests they came out with, they only work 8 hours. So one person, one test, 8 hours.
The other part of it, and I don't know if you read this, but California they're starting to not test people.
Yeah.
Because of the lack of PPE, because they have to throw their PPE away.
Every time.
Every time. And then they're running short. There's another thing. I just read this on my local county. You and me live in different counties. But as of 3 days ago, they were anticipating tests to be in our county either before the weekend's end or at the beginning of this week. And we didn't have them yet. And they described it as there's still no clear answer over who's going to pay for it. So therefore, they had to make sure that they had the money, set aside that money to order the amount of tests that we need. That way it's done because right now the county is assuming that they're going to be reimbursed by the federal government.
Assuming.
Yeah. But they also knew that we need to get these tests now. So, I mean, this kind of thing isn't just a federal government or a state government. This goes all the way down to your local county and local government offices. these guys have to make decisions, and they need to make sure that we can be ready for this, discourage just hanging out like the people on the beaches in Florida, like the people who are still encouraging mass church goings in Louisiana.
Why?
Dude, I've actually seen where local churches around us are doing live streaming. Just like we do.
Oh, I thought you meant people trying to get them to go to the mass.
Well, no. Like, I was saying that. We just read that there was like 1,900 people who went to a church. Yeah, I'm sorry to break you. But yeah, no. But like around here, they're like, hey, we're going to live stream. Tune into the live stream on Facebook. Go to our Facebook page and you can watch.
There are a few that do that, yes.
And then I also saw that there were some churches that are doing almost like kind of like a drive-in experience where like you just pull up in the parking lot with your with your car with your family, and you tune in to FM radio station like 88.5, and they're broadcasting from inside the church, and you can listen to the sermon, and you can kind of be around everybody even though you're apart and you're in your own vehicle. That's a safe way to do it. A safe way not to do it is to get 1,900 people in a closed area. Just like the video that you showed me from Germany.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, I understand we need stuff, dude. We need things. But I was a little paranoid just leaving the house yesterday to go get hamburger buns and cat litter. Now, I'm not eating the cat litter with hamburger buns. I'm just saying this is what we needed. but it's like, oh crap! Hey, we stocked up on a bunch of stuff, or not a bunch of stuff. I just say we didn't stock up on toilet paper. We only took, we already had a bunch of toilet paper
because you couldn't find it. He didn't not stock up. You just couldn't find it.
I actually found some yesterday, but I didn't buy it because we don't need it. Other people, I'm more save that for people who need it, dude. It's like. We are going to be good on that for like probably another month. Like we're cool,
right.
Because I bought it before things went to hell. And I just went out. I was like, okay, hey, we need some hamburger buns. We forgot hamburger buns, and we need another thing of cat litter so we could change the boxes. It's like, all right, cool. And she goes, oh, we need sour cream too. I forgot we were low. I'm like, so then it starts adding up. It's like, okay, what do I need? It's like 4 things.
Right.
And since we're gonna be on lockdown. Grabbed another thing of Coca-Cola or soda or whatever, to keep the beast at bay. The beast, aka my wife, first thing in the morning. She's not a coffee drinker. What's like what you do? Crack open that Coca-Cola, and then she's like, "All right, I'm cool." But before that caffeine hits, sometimes you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So I was out and I did everything that I could do. I sanitized my cart, sanitized my hands afterwards. Got home, I got 91% alcohol on a Q-tip. I sanitized my phone. It's like
I said, this is all you can do.
Yeah, but even then, it's like I felt weird about it just going to my local grocery store.
Oh yeah,
and we live in an era. We're living through history right now.
Oh yeah. And it all depends on which course it's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
And we have no idea. That's what's, wars you can kind of lead, it's going to go this way. But this is, we're not even looking at a synthesization of any type of vaccination for the next 2 years. You're talking about it has to go through 18 months of human trialing.
And the most we can do is just try to get effective treatment, try to figure out what drugs can help combat how harsh the virus can be.
I did watch a video that was way over my head. I'm like, me and my wife, she's worked in the medical field, so we're sitting there looking at it, and she's like, yeah, okay. And he's going and going. And she looks at me and she's like, you can't know what's going on. I'm like, oh no, I'm just looking at this stuff. That's it. I'm looking at the pictures. Mm-hmm. That's it. because he was just. But they have 2 drugs. One of them is super effective, and these are all with blood samples. These are live cultures, I believe, is what they call them.
Yeah.
Putting the virus in the blood cultures, and then running this stuff. It's working out great, but it just hit the first human for the first time, like last week.
Yeah.
18 months. So it's scary.
It is, but you know what? We're all in this together, like we've said. We're all in this together, and hopefully we can, try not to dwell on it too much. It's one thing, we have to acknowledge it, and because it's everything that we're all going through. But we can all remember we're all in this together. We're all banded together. Check in with your friends, check in with your family. I'm personally bad about that, and I know I am.
Check in with our good buddy Tyler.
Yeah, exactly. And just to check in, how you doing? Is there anything that you guys need? Because we are all in this together. Absolutely. Now is not the time. If you have any grudges with people, don't worry about that. Fuck, dude. This is something that affects us all, and we are stronger together. And I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode of this podcast with a bunch of other people kind of coming in. And I know, as I said, I've recorded a couple of these before. A lot of this got bad, but here we are. By the time this episode is done and aired, we are in this and we're in the thick of it. And Mike, thank you so much for joining me this week to sit here and talk and chit chat about games a little bit. And sometimes when people are going through some of the more harshest challenges mentally. And it's definitely harsh during this time, trust me, because I try to keep my mind off of it, but sometimes it's better just to talk about it and to just be a part of the conversation. And we hope that all of you enjoyed this conversation as well. Mike, thank you so much for joining me here on the show. I really appreciate it. And spoiler alert, once you and I have completed Final Fantasy VII Remake, we are going to be linking up again and probably having a pretty damn long conversation about our thoughts of that game. So stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. Yes. And hopefully that episode will contain no talk about what's going on here, and we can focus on something entirely positive.
Yes.
So, Mike, thanks once again for joining me, man. It's been a blast.
Oh, yeah. Anytime.
All right. Later on. And that's going to do it for this episode, guys. I want to thank each and every one of you again for checking out this episode and downloading it wherever you have. Of course, we're on podcast services all around the freaking world. We're also over there on the social medias at Game Addicts Play on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Of course, you can check out the live stream on twitch.tv/Game Addicts Play, as well as Game Addicts Play on all those socials. As well, it also streams over on Facebook if that's what you fancy as well. We're also over on YouTube, where it's basically your one-stop shop for everything that we do for as far as podcast, video, or just audio too, as well as some of the gaming videos that I put up. And also, as if there's anything else to say, check out GameAddictsPodcast.com, where you can check out all the episodes right there. And of course, over onto the side, you can check out some of the awesome affiliates that I've said earlier before, like the In-Game Boss, Podcastrophe, Journey to Comics Network, Moogle Media, all these guys I've done stuff with. Guys, thank you so much. From the bottom of my heart, this is Brando. I'll see you next week, guys. Later.